Vol 2, Chapter 462, Doom Cannon. Tang Xiao gazed thoughtfully at Sand Hill, his voice steady but filled with an underlying intensity. I'm not entirely sure if Darth Marthael's word can be trusted, but there's one thing I'm certain of, he began, capturing Sand Hill's full attention. Between him and Darth Sidious, only one will ultimately survive. Sand Hill, intrigued by Tang Xiao's assertion, leaned in closer. If that's the case, I believe I know our next move, he declared, his slender fingers dancing in the air as if to emphasize his point. Count Dooku is Sidious's apprentice. Without Lord Marthael's warning, I might have been deceived, but now I see the game for what it is. Tang Xiao shook his head slightly. We can't turn against Count Dooku just yet. We need him to help us wage this war. Sand Hill's eyes sparkled with cunning. Exactly. Let Count Dooku be the one to face the brunt of the enemy's attacks. Meanwhile, we'll be the true puppet masters, orchestrating everything from the shadows. After a moment's thought, he inquired, what about Newt Gunray? Is the Trade Federation also part of this plan? The situation with the Trade Federation is a bit different, Tang Xiao explained, his hands clasped behind his back as he gazed out the window at the approaching Titan battleship. Darth Sidious personally eliminated Newt Gunray's opposition and coerced them into joining his cause. Are you aware of the terrorist attack at the Eliadu Business Summit? Sand Hill's eyes widened in realization. You mean to say that attack was... Yes, that attack was orchestrated to install Newt Gunray as the governor of the Trade Federation. It was Mr. Hago's plan, but he mistakenly placed his trust in Darth Sidious. After the incident, Sidious seized the opportunity to bring Gunray under his control, Tang Xiao clarified. Sand Hill nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Given what you've shared, I feel confident in entrusting you with something. He produced a memory chip with a flourish. This is a gift from Lord Darth Marthael, a monster-class battlecruiser. Tang Xiao suppressed a chuckle, feigning eagerness as he took the chip and examined its contents. A monster-class battlecruiser? Incredible! Ha ha ha! Sidious must be preoccupied with the Higuera-class battlecruiser, completely unaware that it's merely a decoy. Our true masterpiece is this far more formidable monster. Ha ha! Sand Hill joined in the laughter, pride evident in his voice. Indeed, we must commence development of this warship immediately. Of course, Tang Xiao agreed with a slight smile, gesturing towards the Titan battleship that now dominated the view from the porthole. Let's board the Titan battleship Plague. Under the spiritual guidance of our mentor, we shall forge a new alliance. On the advanced and spacious bridge of the Titan battleship Plague, dozens of large screens flickered with data, and a giant three-dimensional map of the galaxy rotated slowly at the center. Tang Xiao and Sand Hill stood side by side at the captain's station, issuing a flurry of commands. Operating system, online. Main control department, ready. Engine department, in position. Navigation department, in position. Staff department, in position. Weapons department, in position. Energy department, in position. Damage control department, in position. Tang Xiao's voice echoed authoritatively through the bridge. At his command, the 3,500 crew members of the Titan battleship took their stations. The most powerful battleship in the history of the Galactic Republic was awakening from its slumber. The hyperspace engine is activated. Target, Galaxy IU 3346199. Tang Xiao continued. The massive battleship, measuring 14,100 meters in length, began to pivot slowly. Once it had escaped the planet's gravitational pull, the hyperspace engine roared to life. A blinding white light flashed repeatedly, the immense energy generated as the supergiant ship entered hyperspace, distorting the surrounding cosmos. Then, in an instant, the battleship vanished into hyperspace, headed for the barren galaxy IU 3466199. A flash of white light pierced the void, and the colossal form of the Plague re-emerged into the vast expanse of space, navigating through a remote sector teeming with asteroids. Sir, we've identified a viable target, an asteroid with a diameter of 100 kilometers, announced an officer from the Fire Control Department. He magnified the image on the screen, highlighting an asteroid significantly larger than its neighbors, located 0.5 light seconds away. Initiate the Doomsday Cannon, commanded Tang Xiao, bestowing a name upon the 400-meter caliber super electromagnetic gun mounted on the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship. A deep rumble vibrated through the battleship's structure. The Titan's defining feature was this super electromagnetic gun. Its four colossal rails began to unfold slowly as immense energy coalesced within them. The hum of power grew louder, and the entire 12,000-meter-long barrel was enveloped in waves of energy fluctuations. A sub-caliber projectile, 350 meters in diameter, was loaded and ready. Incorporating Solarian technology, the Doomsday Cannon utilized supermatter instead of Element Zero to fuel the supercannon, initiating a reaction with hyperspace that triggered an effect akin to a mass effect field. Within this field, the projectile's mass, originally weighing millions of tons, approached zero, making it virtually weightless. Then, with a fervor in his eyes, Tang Xiao bellowed the command. Launch! The moment he spoke, the Doomsday Cannon's barrel emitted a blinding light, reminiscent of a newborn star. The entire battleship seemed to quake as an orange-red beam burst forth. This was the spatial reaction occurring along the projectile's trajectory, coupled with the annihilation reaction between its ultra-high speed and cosmic matter, involving both antimatter and dark matter. The targeted asteroid, situated over 100,000 kilometers away, was struck instantaneously. A massive shockwave, visible to the naked eye, radiated in all directions, shattering the asteroid into countless fragments. These fragments, superheated by the immense kinetic energy, transformed into a sea of molten lava. Minutes later, the explosion's shockwave reached the plague. The surrounding asteroids were obliterated by the force, yet the Titan battleship remained unscathed, a testament to its might. Amidst the awe-inspiring spectacle of the asteroid's destruction and the brilliant light of the Doomsday Cannon, a clandestine pact was forged between Dawn Planet and the Interstellar Banking Association. They would join the Freemasonry, marking a new chapter in the annals of interstellar politics. Vol 2, Chapter 463, 27 BBY. As the Milky Way transitioned into the year 27 BBY, the political landscape of the Galactic Republic underwent significant changes under the leadership of its current speaker, Schiff Palpatine. This year marked a turning point for Palpatine, who revealed his true capabilities and intentions, shedding any previous perceptions of weakness. Initially, Palpatine cleverly manipulated the Overseas Exploration Plan to compromise Deputy Speaker Mas Amida. Utilizing his secret identity as Darth Sidious, he coerced Amida into complete submission. With Amida now an ally, Palpatine embarked on a ruthless campaign to eliminate any political factions that had sought to exploit him during his early tenure. This cycle of retribution was swift and merciless. Those who had underestimated Palpatine found themselves ensnared in his grasp, either becoming his political puppets or facing public disgrace and imprisonment. Through these actions, Palpatine's influence within the Galactic Council swelled, transforming him from a seemingly docile figure into a formidable political force capable of swaying parliamentary decisions with ease. However, Palpatine's ambitions extended far beyond mere political dominance. He meticulously exposed the corrupt deeds of his adversaries, branding them as corrupt officials, parasites of the Republic, and even traitors in the eyes of the public. By refusing to clean up their messes and instead amplifying their guilt, Palpatine exacerbated the political climate and eroded the government's credibility. His strategy of favoring the core worlds while neglecting the outer rim planets ultimately harmed those on the fringes of the Republic. Yet, the blame was cleverly shifted onto the corrupt officials, with Palpatine hailed as a hero fighting against corruption and criminality during these dark times. Meanwhile, Counselor Francis Underwood of Dawn Planet adapted to the shifting political winds. Recognizing Palpatine's unstoppable momentum, Underwood shifted his stance from opposition to support, focusing his efforts on exposing the corruption and puppetry that Palpatine sought to protect. By aligning himself with the prevailing trend and targeting the corrupt forces, Underwood positioned himself in a way that Palpatine could not easily target him. Despite Palpatine's frustration with Underwood's revelations, which forced him to act against some of his intended protégés, Underwood's strategy allowed him to navigate the tumultuous political landscape effectively. In the midst of this chaos, the Overseas Exploration Plan proceeded as planned. Jedi Master Korra Sabaoth led a fleet of 6 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, carrying 50,000 settlers, and guided by 6 Jedi Masters towards uncharted territories. Despite Palpatine's manipulation of the exploration plan's corruption to undermine Deputy Speaker Ameda, the mission symbolized a beacon of hope and expansion for the Republic, even as its political foundations were being cunningly reshaped by Palpatine's machinations. Mas Ameda, despite foreseeing the potential failure of the project due to Korra Serbaus's arrogance, did not abandon it entirely. He saw an opportunity to use this plan to his advantage. If it could lead to the elimination of 6 Jedi Masters and numerous Jedi apprentices and knights, it would serve his purposes even better. After all, events that transpire in the uncharted territories of the Star Domain often go unnoticed. Palpatine discreetly placed several of his operatives within the exploration team, ready to undermine the mission from within. Unaware of this deceit, Korra Serbaus proudly proclaimed the exploration project as a triumph of the Jedi Order, demanding complete control over the team. Palpatine, with a deceptive smile, agreed to his demands, all the while anticipating the project's failure and the subsequent tarnishing of the Jedi Order's reputation. Meanwhile, the conflict on Tatooine escalated significantly. The introduction of the land-based aircraft carrier Ghidorah and the downfall of the Sadi family marked a decisive turn in the feud between the Besadi and Dasiljic Hutt families. The war effort became increasingly overt, with both sides blatantly delivering military supplies. If not for the restraining influence of the Hutt Council, they might have even deployed their fleets. Empowered by ample supplies, the Ghidorah Besadi faction, under the leadership of Magton Skar, constructed formidable military vehicles. Among these were the SA-217, a Phalanx-class assault vehicle, measuring 30 meters in length and equipped with a formidable 6-barreled cannon capable of firing at a maximum speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Additionally, they built the Zenith Armored Capital Ship, a 114 behemoth armed with twin-mounted large-caliber rapid-fire guns and 8 quad-mounted missile launchers. When Ghidorah's armored forces, including stealthy Banshee fighters and nimble SJF-14 fighters, launched an assault on the outskirts of Mos Eisley, Jabba the Hutt quickly realized that his prized T-24 airspeeder was no match for this military might. The attackers deployed SCVs to construct missile turrets and long-arrow surface-to-air missile systems, effectively neutralizing any support from bounty hunter ships. Pathfinder-class attack vehicles swiftly harassed different parts of the city, showcasing the tactical prowess of the Kali mercenaries from Titan Security. These mercenaries, experienced, brutal, and cunning, were led by Magton Skar, whose thirst for vengeance had driven him to madness. This formidable army, specialized in desert warfare, proved to be an unstoppable force. Jabba, despite his immense wealth and control over a vast criminal empire, found his forces, comprised mainly of mercenaries and bounty hunters, woefully inadequate in the face of such a well-equipped and disciplined military. The disparity in strength was evident, and Jabba's empire stood on the brink of collapse. Attachment 1 of the Easter Egg Chapter, Phalanx-class assault vehicle, inspired by Homeland, Carrick Desert. Attachment 2 of the Easter Egg Chapter, Zenith Armored Capital Ship, inspired by Homeland, Carrick Desert. Vol 2, Chapter 464, Jabba's Defeat. On the outskirts of Mos Eisley, planet Tatooine, the air was filled with the thunderous roar of machinery and the sharp scent of gunpowder. The SA-217 Phalanx assault chariot, armed with a 50mm caliber 6-barreled cannon, unleashed a barrage of shells with a ferocity that seemed almost insane. The designer of this chariot must have been a madman. The shells, with the caliber of artillery but fired at the speed of a machine gun, tore through the air with devastating power. Several T-24 airspeeders attempting to flee were shredded by the relentless onslaught, bursting into flames and debris almost instantly. Above, the sky turned into a battlefield of its own. Dozens of incendiary bombs materialized seemingly out of thin air, plummeting down and igniting a crimson inferno wherever they touched. A few bounty hunter spaceships, caught in the chaos, struggled futilely against the more than 20 SJF-14 fighter jets that harried them like relentless predators. These jets, though lacking in firepower, excelled in their mission to entangle and disable the enemy spaceships. On the ground, the 114-meter-long Skytop assault armored ship launched missile after missile from its launchers, each strike lighting up the sky with another explosion as they met their targets. From the bridge of the USS Ghidorah, a land-going aircraft carrier stationed at a distance, a man in his 50s with a stern, determined face and an eye patch over one eye observed the battle through binoculars. This was Big Boss, the leader of the giant god security mercenary organization. As he watched, he took a drag from his cigar, the smoke curling from the corner of his mouth. "It seems Yuri Orlov didn't want to make an enemy of us after all," he mused aloud. Beside him, the T-850 Jason Statham, a machine with red electronic eyes and fearsome armor, responded, "I do not understand." Big Boss explained with a sly grin. The airspeeders Orlov sold to Jabba were substandard. They were equipped with energy shields but lacked kinetic shields. No wonder our Phalanx-class assault vehicles had no trouble taking them down. Ghidorah the Hutt, lying impatiently on an oversized sofa installed just for her, interjected, "I only care about when you can capture Jabba for me." "Don't worry, boss. Money talks, and nobody's willing to work for Jabba now. Hakimi's commandos have already infiltrated the city, though I doubt they'll be needed," Big Boss reassured her, taking another puff of his cigar before snuffing it out and tucking it away. "What do you mean?" Ghidorah asked, clearly displeased. "The Hutts won't let Jabba die," Big Boss replied coldly. Meanwhile, in a valley outside Mos Eisley, near Jabba's palace, General Hakimi led more than 20 of the elite Kalia's Vushra warriors on a stealth mission. They had silently eliminated some of the outer guards and disabled the turrets hidden in the shadows. The palace, once a bustling hub, now lay desolate, partly due to a recent attack by a Banshee fighter plane. Hakimi used his binoculars, switched to thermal mode, and surveyed the interior of the palace. There are 31 people inside. Jabba is likely in the basement. Wait, there's a robot. If the intel is correct, that's IG-41, Jabba's top assassin. It's undergone countless modifications and is no ordinary machine. We take it out first. At the palace gate, an IG-series robot, slender like a pole with guns in both hands, stood guard. Its cylindrical head rotated continuously, scanning its surroundings. A Kali warrior, taking aim with a sniper rifle, targeted IG-41's head. He steadied his breath, aiming to take the shot. But in a split second, IG-41's head snapped in their direction. With an almost impossible speed, it raised its arm and fired. A blast of energy struck the Kali warrior's scope with deadly accuracy, and his head exploded in a shower of sparks and blood. "It's spotted us! Take it down!" Hakimi commanded, as chaos erupted around them. The roar of command echoed, and instantly, 20 Kali warriors emerged from the Ma'ar concealment, unleashing a barrage of gunfire at IG-41. The cacophony of assault and sniper rifles filled the air as a relentless stream of bullets rained down. IG-41, with its modified body, shrugged off most of the onslaught, swiftly taking cover. Armed with blaster rifles in each hand, it retaliated with a fierce volley of energy beams, striking down 2 Kali warriors in quick succession. The remaining warriors found themselves stymied, unable to advance under the robot's counterattack. "Retreat! This isn't going our way." Hakimi, realizing the direness of their situation, ordered a strategic withdrawal. He hastily communicated with headquarters. "We've encountered a formidable robot, requesting air support." "Denied. Aerial bombardment risks harming Jabba. If entry is impossible, pull back," came Big Boss's stern reply. "I've lost a brother here," Hakimi responded, his voice heavy with emotion. "Then avenge your brother if you can. If not, retreat," Big Boss countered. Frustrated, Hakimi tossed aside the communicator, turning to his fellow Kali warriors. "We need 3 volunteers for a risky move with sticky grenades. Casualties are possible." Almost every warrior signaled their willingness to undertake the mission. Hakimi selected 3 and quickly devised a plan. With the agility of a cheetah, Hakimi led the charge, the chosen warriors flanking him. They hurled sticky grenades at the walls surrounding IG-41. The explosions created a smoke screen, under which they advanced. Red energy beams sliced through the smoke, striking down another warrior. Yet, Hakimi and the remaining fighters pressed on, lobbing more grenades directly at IG-41. The subsequent explosions were monumental. collapsing a wall and burying IG-41 under rubble. Seizing the moment, Hakimi and his team rushed forward, planting the final grenades on the immobilized robot. The detonation was catastrophic, scattering metal fragments everywhere. IG-41's cylindrical head rolled to a stop at Hakimi's feet. The palace erupted into chaos at the sound of the explosion, its occupants fleeing in panic, only to be cut down by the Kali warriors strategically positioned at the entrance. With IG-41 down, only Jabba remains. He's likely hiding in the basement, Hakimi muttered, kicking the robot's head aside. However, just then, his communicator buzzed. Big Boss's voice, both hoarse and authoritative, delivered unexpected news. Return to base. Jabba has surrendered, under the protection of the Hutt Great Council. Please remember to visit our official website for updates. Chapter 465, The Master of Tatooine. In the dimly lit expanse of Jabba's palace, the once opulent silk satins that adorned the walls were now torn and scorched. The hall, previously alive with the sounds of feasting and laughter, lay silent. Below Jabba's elevated platform, the beautiful Twi'lek dancers had met a chilling fate, strangled by an enraged Jabba himself. A symbol of defeat was now unmistakably etched upon him. There was a time when Jabba held the upper hand in his rivalry with Ghidorah the Hutt, who was forced into hiding at Mos Espa's port just to survive. Ghidorah had even resorted to sharing a portion of the lucrative Padres betting proceeds with Jabba in a bid for peace. However, the tides turned dramatically when the Bassa bandits, led by the notorious Braddock Gravel and Magton Scar, mysteriously acquired a vast cache of ammunition and began raiding the races with unprecedented ferocity. Jabba had attempted to align himself with Black Godamask II, a titan in the financial world, hoping for support. Yet, his overtures were met with indifference. Even when Jabba provided intelligence on Ghidorah's assassination plans against Black Go, his efforts failed to ignite any enthusiasm. Deprived of financial backing from Damask Holdings, Jabba's empire began to crumble. The disruption of the Padres betting rings and the costly war with Ghidorah plunged him into debt, nearly leading to his betrayal by a bounty hunter over an unpaid bounty. Ghidorah's acquisition of a formidable land-based aircraft carrier only intensified the harassment of Jabba's territories, dealing a severe blow to his smuggling operations. In a desperate move, Jabba procured a fleet of T-24 airspeeders through arms dealer Yuri Orlov, hoping to turn the tide. Yet, this advantage was short-lived. Ghidorah returned with a vengeance, unveiling a Phalanx-class assault chariot and a 114-meter-long suspended battleship, decimating Jabba's forces and extinguishing his last hope. Jabba's downfall was complete. A holographic projection flickered to life, revealing Kiliak Daziljic Tiran the Hutt, patriarch of the Desiljic family and Jabba's uncle. Kiliak's visage, marked by the rough folds of his skin and dark spots, was a testament to his age and power. "You have brought disgrace upon us, Jabba. You are as incompetent as your father." Kiliak's voice boomed in Hutt, dripping with disdain. "Why must every failure stem from the Teal lineage?" "It's not my fault. Ghidorah had powerful allies while I stood alone," Jabba protested. "And what stopped you from securing stronger allies? You promised Black Ghost support, yet where is he now?" "Dead," Kiliak retorted. "Ghidorah's attempt on Hago's life failed initially," Jabba began, "only to succeed later. The Besatis have covered their tracks well. We've lost the shuttle races, lost Tatooine. The Besatis are ascending, and we are forced into a humiliating compromise because of your blunder," Kiliak thundered. "Allow me to return to Nal Hutta. I can rebuild there." Jabba pleaded. "It's over, Jabba. I've already engaged Marlo Kunalak of the Kunarak and Oruba Glensla of the Glensla to mediate this conflict. Their involvement means the Besatii wouldn't dare interfere. However, our family must relinquish one of our seats on the Hutt Council," Kiliak explained, his tone softening. "In the Grand Council of the Hutts, which comprises 5 members, our Desiljic family will lose one of our 2 seats. It's likely that the Besatii family will claim it, securing 2 seats for themselves." Jabba's fall from power was not just a personal defeat, but a strategic loss that reshaped the power dynamics of Tatooine's underworld. Jabba was silent for a moment before declaring, "It's not over yet." "It's over on Tatooine," he added, his tone defiant. "I'll be back." With that, Jabba descended from his throne and made his way toward the door. His protocol droid followed, inquiring, Great Jabba, where are you going? In a swift turn, Jabba's eyes blazed with fury. His massive form surged forward like a tank, astonishingly fast. With a loud crash, he collided with the protocol droid, sending it tumbling to the ground. Then, with a series of forceful punches, Jabba flattened the steel-made robot. The droid's damaged generator emitted a garbled noise as it attempted to speak. Jabba straightened himself, nursing his wounded and bleeding fist, and declared once more as he exited, "I'll be back." Meanwhile, Ghidorah Besadi, another Hutt, occupied Jabba's former seat, reveling in victory. "Ha! Sing! Dance! We won! Tatooine is mine! Ha!" Ghidorah exclaimed, laughing joyously while waving her short arms. Two dancers beside her continuously fed her wine and fruit. Magton Skar, standing with his arms crossed, watched the scene with a cold gaze, accompanied by T-850 Jason Statham, whose menacing presence made the surrounding crowd uneasy, deterring anyone from approaching. Knife Scar observed the debauchery before him, luxuries he and his brother once dreamed of, now easily within reach. He could overthrow Ghidorah and join the revelry, yet he found the entire spectacle absurd. Scar had come to realize that the true desire he and his brother, Braderick Smash, shared was for the Scourge army they had built together, and Tatooine was merely the beginning of their ambitions. He craved more thrilling conquests. A passing maid, scantily clad in silk, caught sight of Scar's fierce expression, screamed, and dropped her fruit. At the banquet, key figures from Titan security, including Big Boss and General Hakimi, were notably absent, preferring the battlefield to celebrations. Mirahan, however, indulged in the festivities, getting drunk and sending brazen messages to Matt Horner, leaving him momentarily stunned. In a secure hyperspace communication channel, the true architects of Tatooine's fate, Alak Besadi of the Besadi family and the Sith Lord Darth Marthael, were in discussion. "Tatooine is ours, but the Desaligic family won't stand by. I know Kiliak, he's no saint, and Jabba's defeat doesn't mark the end of his influence. They're all formidable," Alak remarked. Darth Marthael responded coolly, "For now, enjoy your victory and work with me to govern Tatooine. When the time is right, you'll see the wisdom in your decision today." "What opportunity are you hinting at?" Alak inquired, taking a sip of spice. "If you seek greater power, join me in a grand endeavor. If you prefer the status quo, maintain a friendly neutrality towards me to ensure your prosperity. What do you say?" Marthael's voice carried a chilling edge. "The Scourge remains a threat on Tatooine, and the Desaligic family won't forgive us. Can we really rely on Ghidorah's incompetence? There's no turning back now," Alak reasoned. "If we can strengthen our family and eliminate the Desaligic threat, I might consider your proposal." Marthael chuckled. "Then give me 5 years. Just make sure you're still in power on Tatooine by then." "In 5 years." His laughter echoed as the communication abruptly ended, leaving the encrypted channel silent. The communicator before Alak was reduced to ashes, leaving no trace behind. Alak's gaze sharpened as he observed the remnants of the device, now nothing more than a wisp of smoke. Chapter 466, Separatism. As time progressed, the separatist movement led by Count Dooku continued to gain momentum. Speaker of the Galactic Republic, Shiv Palpatine, poured his efforts into quelling dissent, expanding his influence, and neglecting the corruption among Republic officials, particularly in the Outer Rim territories. This neglect, combined with Count Dooku's unmatched reputation and persuasive eloquence, led numerous planets in the Outer Rim to join the separatist cause, opposing various policies of the Republic. The movement gained significant traction when over 500 planets, including Dawn Planet, declared their refusal to pay taxes to the Republic. This act of defiance encouraged even more planets to join the cause, rendering the Republic's long-standing free trade zone tax policy ineffective. Count Dooku, capitalizing on the growing discontent, covertly negotiated preliminary agreements with major intergalactic corporations, including the Trade Federation, Techno-Union, Intergalactic Banking Clan, Corporate Alliance, Commerce Guild, and a fourth group. These agreements promised the corporations substantial financial gains and legal control over numerous galaxies, along with unprecedented privileges, should the Republic be forced into submission or overthrown. Dooku's strategy was not to wage a war of annihilation against the Republic, but to use conflict as a means to bring the Republic to the negotiating table or to topple its government, allowing these corporations to take its place. Each corporation had its own motives for joining Dooku's cause, driven by a mix of coercion, legacy arrangements, and ambition. As Dooku's movement gained financial backing from these corporations, his activities grew more overt. In the Outer Rim, planets began to replace Galactic Republic media broadcasts with speeches by Count Dooku, exacerbating tensions between the Outer Rim and the core worlds, and contributing to an increasingly strained atmosphere within the Republic. Speaker Palpatine publicly denounced the separatist actions on multiple occasions, calling for a return to diplomacy and cautioning against aggression. However, his appeals, delivered through the media, lacked substantive action and were largely ignored by the Outer Rim territories. Palpatine's rhetoric was designed to portray himself as a peace-loving leader, eager for the unification of the Galactic Republic. With sufficient support secured, Count Dooku swiftly moved to prepare for conflict, prioritizing industrial capabilities. According to Newt Gunray, governor of the Trade Federation, the Federation was collaborating with Lundilli Interstellar Dynamics to develop an upgraded version of the Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser, the Providence-class destroyer. The Providence-class destroyer, a versatile warship equipped with advanced technology, marked a significant step forward in the Separatists' military preparations. The Shenyi-class destroyer, featuring a command system and heavy armor, is designed with modularity in mind, allowing for easy replacement of its functional cabins. Depending on the configuration, it can serve as a command ship, an aircraft carrier, or a battleship. However, to avoid drawing suspicion, Lundilli Interstellar Dynamics outsourced the project to the Freedak Volunteers Engineering Corps, a large engineering company formed by the Quarren people. This company primarily undertakes outsourcing and processing operations for Lundilli Interstellar Dynamics. As the separatist movement gained momentum, Lundilli Star Dynamics considered withdrawing from the project. During this period, Count Dooku intervened in the dispute between the Mon Calamari and the Quarren on the planet Mon Calamari, securing the support of the Quarren. This led the Freedak Volunteer Engineering Corps to break away from Lundilli and start building battleships for the Separatists. The Shenyi-class destroyer project was transferred to the Freedak Volunteer Engineering Corps, with the Trade Alliance continuing to fund the development of this formidable warship. The Freedak Volunteer Engineering Corps covertly established a massive shipyard on the Quarren-colonized world of Parmont for the construction of the Shenyi-class destroyers. Driven by the prospect of war, the ambitious Count Dooku convinced the trade union to invest heavily in designing an even more powerful warship based on the Shenyi-class destroyer, the Conqueror-class heavy cruiser. However, Count Dooku's ambitions did not stop there. He persuaded Shumai, president of the Commerce Guild, and Pasel Argent, president of the Enterprise Alliance, to jointly fund the design of a powerful fire support ship, the Disobedient-class light destroyer. Hirsch-Korscher Dynamics, one of the galaxy's oldest spacecraft design and construction companies, with a history spanning over 4,000 years, found itself outpaced by newer super-industrial enterprises such as the Quat Power Dock. As a result, it became a subsidiary of the trade union, passing through the hands of the Duro Consortium and the Nimbines Consortium of Hutt Space. Despite its limited scale, Hirsch-Korscher Dynamics remained capable of undertaking design and construction work, primarily focusing on the construction and reconstruction of Lucrehook-class cargo ships. Consequently, the construction of the Disobedient class was also entrusted to the Freedak Volunteer Engineering Corps. Meanwhile, the Technical Alliance was tasked with providing comprehensive technical support, including the research and development of Army equipment, various robots and fighter jets, with the Interstellar Banking Association providing financial backing. In this collaborative effort, the main responsibility of the Fourth Group was to work with the Trade Alliance on the construction of the Higra-class battlecruisers and ghost fighters, marking the only contribution of Count Dooku to the Fourth Group's product line. Note 1. The classification of warships in Star Wars is notoriously confusing. The Shenyi class alone is referred to by several names, including command ships, battleships, dreadnought ships, cruisers, and destroyers. This classification is based on the official settings, with the term destroyer being used here for simplicity. Please remember the first domain name of this book, website. For the fastest mobile version updates, visit website Volume 2, Chapter 467, The Demon King of Murderers. In the outer reaches of the Milky Way, within Hutt space, on the satellite of the planet Narketa, known as the Smuggler's Moon, Nasada, a crisp sound of metal clinking echoed. A lighter, adorned with intricate patterns, was ignited, revealing a pair of hands as smooth as cream carefully lighting a cigar. The hands belonged to a dignified woman dressed in a sleek black business suit and pencil skirt. She expertly cut the end of the cigar and lit it before placing it between the lips of a man seated on a central sofa. Tang Xiao, the man in question, was clad in a white shirt and gray vest. His hair was neatly combed, and he sported a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, giving him a gentle appearance. However, the well-defined muscles beneath his clothes and the sharp gaze lurking behind his glasses suggested he was anything but harmless. He took a puff from the cigar, closed his eyes, and shook his head slightly before fixing his gaze on the three individuals kneeling before him, a human, a Nikto, and a Mon Calamari. "I gave you a chance," Tang Xiao stated softly, sitting up straight. He removed his glasses and habitually rubbed the corners of his eyes. "Boss Ni, it's not that we weren't careful. We couldn't have known Zorba would suddenly change his plans," the Mon Calamari pleaded urgently. To those familiar with them, it would be shocking to discover that these individuals were leaders of the largest criminal organizations on the planet, Adarlan, a world renowned for its music and art. They controlled the smuggling trade on Adarlan, wielding considerable power. Yet, in Nasada, their influence was insignificant. "Your misinformation led to my failure to capture Zorba's spaceship, allowing a shipment full of weapons and spices to reach the black market on Adarlan. That shipment was worth at least 4 million credits. In other words, your mistake cost me 4 million, and most critically, my raiding fleet was exposed." Tang Xiao sighed. "Opportunities aren't given away so freely." "No, please, give us another chance. We're certain this time. We can definitely help you eliminate Zorba," the Mon Calamari begged from the floor. Tang Xiao cleaned his glasses with a cloth, put them back on, and responded, "It's too late. Your errors have alerted Zorba. It's not the right time to reignite conflict with the Desoligic family. I can't allow this to trace back to me. I must erase all evidence." "Boss Ni, please, spare our lives. Spare us," the three implored loudly. "If you have nothing else of value to share, then leave. I will ensure your families are taken care of. In your next lives, may you be reborn into better circumstances and steer clear of trouble," Tang Xiao said, waving his hand dismissively. Several burly men in black suits immediately stepped forward, seizing the trio and dragging them away. "It was Kiliak's doing. Kiliak the Hutt!" the Nikto suddenly exclaimed, earning furious looks from his companions. Ignoring their glares, the Nikto fell to his knees before Tang Xiao, spreading his arms wide. "It's Kiliak Desoligic, the Hutt. He's been troubled by someone raiding his smuggling fleet, so he devised a trap to lure them out. They threatened my family." "Continue," Tang Xiao prompted, balancing the cigar between his fingers. He took a sip of wine, set the glass down, and resumed smoking, appearing utterly at ease. "Hector orchestrated this. He took our families hostage and forced us to spread false information. Whoever acted on it would be targeting their smuggling vessels. I've told you everything I know. Please, spare my life," the Nikto begged. Tang Xiao remained silent, merely giving a subtle nod to an associate who whispered something in his ear. Then, with a smile, Tang Xiao said, "Very well. It seems your honesty has saved your family's lives. You may die in peace." With that, he gestured, and the burly men escorted the three away. Tang Xiao then casually crossed his legs, a gesture of relaxed authority, as he contemplated his next move in the shadowy world of intergalactic crime. He spoke calmly. "Hector has been with me for 2 years, and I've treated him well. However, it seems he no longer wishes to continue in this manner. Let her handle it. Remember to send additional people to manage the aftermath." The man in the black suit nodded in acknowledgement and then reached for his communicator. An hour later, in another urban area of Nasada, a figure cloaked in black stood atop a tall tower, braving the strong night winds. The winds sculpted the cloak against the figure's slender form, revealing it to be a woman with an impressive physique. She gazed intently at the tall building across from her, where her target was located. Hector was reveling in a lavish party upstairs, surrounded by a multitude of beauties. He drank without restraint, buoyed by the knowledge that his recent contributions to the Desiligic family had earned him a substantial reward. He believed he could now retire in luxury, leaving behind the violent world of Smuggler's Moon. Both downstairs and upstairs, thousands of his subordinates were present, some joining in the revelry, others diligently standing guard. This army of protectors gave Hector a profound sense of security. A sinister smile played at the corners of the woman's mouth as she observed from the opposite tower. Hidden beneath her hood, her eyes gleamed with a chaotic and cruel light. She had been watching for over 10 minutes, her keen senses, enhanced by the Force, allowing her to survey the entire scene with clarity. The more joyous her target appeared, the greater her own anticipation grew. Just then, a hover truck carrying cargo flew by. Seizing the moment, the woman lightly tapped her toes on the edge of the tower and leaped, landing precisely on the truck. With another agile jump, she covered a distance of over 10 meters and crashed through the supposedly bulletproof glass, making a dramatic entrance into the midst of the party. The crowd stared in astonishment as the woman casually extended her hand, a metal hilt sliding into her grasp. With a press of a button, a blood-red lightsaber blade sprang to life with a menacing hum. Meanwhile, a Republic-class shuttle emerged from hyperspace into the orbit of Narsada. The pilot made contact with a spaceport and steered the spacecraft towards it. Inside the shuttle were 4 individuals dressed in coarse cloth robes, one of whom was notably short. "We finally arrived. Smuggler's Moon, Narsada. We must tread carefully. This place is among the most complex and perilous in the galaxy," a man said as he lifted his hood to reveal his face. He was Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Turning to his companion, he cautioned, "Especially you, Anakin Skywalker, curb your boundless curiosity." "Don't worry, Master. I've had dealings with the Hutts since I was a child," a youthful voice responded. "The Hutts aren't exactly fond of our Republic, even though we're here to investigate a suspected Sith Lord," another young voice chimed in. Someone reported a man wielding a red lightsaber has been active in Narsada, responsible for numerous deaths over the years. However, if this individual indeed massacred over 700 gang members recently, it's unlikely the news would have reached us otherwise. Catching this man and bringing him back to the Jedi Temple will unveil the truth, the shortest individual added, his voice hoarse. Please remember the first domain name of this book, website. For the fastest updates, visit the mobile version at Moth. Vol 2, Chapter 468, Traces of the Dark Side. Master Evan Peel, a figure with an imposing presence, lifted his hood to reveal distinctive elf-like ears, a ponytail adorning his otherwise bald head, and a face marred by horrific scars, one of his eyes irreparably damaged. Despite the severity of his injuries, he made no attempt to conceal them. As a member of the High Council of the Jedi Order, his appearance bore the marks of countless battles. This mission primarily falls to Master Obi-Wan Kenobi and myself. Master Peel's voice, roughened by the scars of past battles, carried a note of authority. "Your assistance is welcome, but caution is paramount. We're dealing with a murderer capable of killing 700 individuals. This is no ordinary adversary, and not something any Jedi can confront unprepared." Anakin Skywalker, standing nearby, pushed back his hood to reveal a youthful face radiating vitality. "I believe I'm not just any ordinary Jedi," he said confidently. It had been 8 years since Anakin joined the Jedi Order after the Battle of Naboo, years that transformed him from a boy into a striking young man of 18. His exceptional affinity for the Force allowed him to master in days what took others months to learn. Anakin's inherently kind and optimistic nature made him well-liked within the Order. Recognizing his potential, Master Yoda had Obi-Wan expose Anakin to a variety of experiences to strengthen his character, even if it meant facing hardships. "You still have much to learn, Anakin. This is not a mere exercise. It's a perilous mission. Master Evan Peel wouldn't be involved otherwise," Obi-Wan cautioned. Anakin, undeterred, replied, "No matter the danger, can it truly surpass that of the exploration mission 2 years ago? If not for our timely departure, we might have been lost in an unknown star field forever. Master Peel's expression darkened at the mention of the past incident, a topic forbidden by Master Windu. Have you forgotten Master Windu's warning? That matter is not to be discussed under any circumstances, he reprimanded. Chastened, Anakin quickly apologized. I'm sorry, Master Evan. I misspoke. The tension was broken by another voice. Ha! Anakin, come and see. Is this Nar Shaddaa? It's magnificent. Anakin turned to see Jax Pavan, his best friend within the Jedi Order, and apprentice to Master Evan Peel, peering excitedly through the shuttle's porthole. Jax, with his naturally curly brown hair and freckles, appeared a couple of years older than Anakin. Together, they admired the towering spires of Nar Shaddaa, a sight to behold. Nar Shaddaa is the galaxy's only fully urbanized planet aside from Coruscant. Due to its status as a moon of Nal Hutta and limited space, the Hutts have constructed these immense spires to expand their territory, Obi-Wan explained. This place operates outside the law. With enough money and power, anything goes. That's why the murderer who slaughtered 700 people remains unpunished, he continued. The shuttle landed atop one of the spires, and the 4 Jedi Knights disembarked into the bustling city of Nar Shaddaa. The streets were alive with vibrant holographic advertisements, and the upcoming Bonta Eve Classic was being heavily promoted. The preview showcased high-speed shuttle races on the Dawn planet, complete with automatic turrets and flamethrowers, challenging the racers at every turn. As they ventured deeper into the city, the Jedi remained vigilant, aware of the darkness that lurked within Nar Shaddaa, ready to confront whatever dangers awaited them in their quest for justice. The scene of a car being ensnared by the magnetic field of a star ring, only to be targeted and hit by a missile from a patrolling ghost fighter, was replayed in close-up. This footage, designed to stir the primal excitement of gamblers and spectators alike, caught Anakin Skywalker's attention. Flying shuttle, Dawn planet, he murmured, unable to tear his eyes away. This had been the dream of his youth. Let's move on, Anakin. Don't dwell on it, Obi-Wan Kenobi advised, his voice tinged with a note of caution. Dawn planet has become a stronghold of the Separatists and is now listed among the Republic's 100 most dangerous planets, with all trade severed. The complications there are numerous, and now is hardly the time for us to get involved. Obi-Wan's thoughts drifted to a memory from 11 years prior, when he and his master, Qui-Gon Jinn, had fought off interstellar pirates to save the Dawn planet colony. How times had changed. Anakin nodded, his mind wandering back to his home on Tatooine, his mother, the robot Rock Johnson, who had perished alongside him, and his aspirations of becoming a shuttle racer. He tucked these thoughts away, adjusted his coarse robes, and followed Evan Peel and Jax Pawan. The crime scene they approached had been cleared, the mutilated bodies long since removed. Whether to feed beasts or processed into nutrients for the impoverished, it was a grim resolution. Yet the air was still heavy with the scent of blood and charred flesh. The once magnificent venue was now in ruins, as if a colossal force had rampaged through, tearing down walls, pillars, chandeliers, and even the flooring. A massive stone pillar, 2 meters in diameter, lay where it had been violently uprooted, crushing several guards beneath it, their bodies still trapped. The dark side of the Force, undoubtedly, and immensely powerful. Obi-Wan Kenobi observed, his brow furrowed. Powerful, yet chaotic. It's as if it were a beast, knowing only destruction, Evan Peel remarked. If it were the Sith Lord, the destruction wouldn't be so haphazard. They are more meticulous in their actions. Even Darth Maul, whom you defeated, was cunning. Obi-Wan nodded in agreement. Darth Maul was like a blade. It felt as though someone else was wielding him. The Sith always operate in pairs, a master and an apprentice. Maul seemed more the apprentice. But this is uncertain. Whose establishment is this? Evan Peel inquired, turning to a protocol droid standing nearby. It belongs to Hector, a businessman known for his adherence to the law, the droid replied. Law-abiding businessmen have no place in Nasada, Evan Peel retorted sharply. And what of the Hutt boss behind this? Is he too afraid to meet with us? I apologize, Mr. Jedi. My employer, Kiliak Daziljic of the Daziljic family, cannot venture into such perilous territory or meet directly with individuals as formidable as yourselves, the droid explained. However, he has suggested a direction for your investigation, Tang Xiao. Anakin's expression hardened. Tang Xiao. I'm familiar with him. He emerged from the downfall of the galaxy's largest syndicate. He's a gang leader with ties to the Fourth Sector, dealing in weapons, spaceships, spice, but notably, not in human trafficking. It seems we must seek out Tang Xiao. This planet is hostile territory. We must proceed with caution. Anakin, Jax, let's avoid any unnecessary trouble, Obi-Wan Kenobi cautioned. Please note, the original domain name and mobile update URL have been omitted for narrative coherence. Vol 2, Chapter 469, Appearance. Boss Ni, I believe you understand why we're here, Obi-Wan Kenobi said with a respectful bow. He and Evan Peel had sought out Tang Xiao, venturing into his territory for a crucial purpose. Anakin Skywalker and Jax Poan stood guard outside, wary of the potential trouble that could arise from confronting this notorious underworld figure. I always welcome the Jedi Knights, Tang Xiao responded with feigned modesty, offering Obi-Wan and Evan Peel glasses of wine, which they politely declined. Settling back into his sofa, he crossed his legs and rested his hands on his knees, maintaining a facade of politeness. So, what brings the Jedi to Nasada? We're here to investigate a massacre, Evan Peel revealed. A gang leader named Hector and his 700 men were slaughtered overnight. We suspect the involvement of a dark power. I've heard about the incident. It involved Kiliak, the Hutt's subordinate. It's understandable that he sought Jedi assistance. However, bringing this matter to me is somewhat inappropriate. The Hutt Council will address this issue, Tang Xiao said, his smile unwavering. Hector was once under your command before he betrayed you. This massacre occurred shortly after his betrayal. Don't you have anything to say about that? Obi-Wan pressed. To be honest, I've wanted Hector dead, but considering his numerous followers, it required careful planning. Many are aware of my intentions, including Kiliak Desilgic of the Hutt clan. Interestingly, it was the Desilgic family who first reported this to the Jedi Order. Have you considered their motives? Tang Xiao countered. I'm not interested in playing word games with you. Listen, the dark side is unpredictable and dangerous. This perpetrator revels in killing. If he doesn't find new targets, you might be next. Evan Peel exclaimed, his temper flaring as he stood up. If you wish to find him, be my guest, Tang Xiao said, gesturing invitingly. No, you will tell us, Evan Peel insisted, attempting to use the Force to influence Niang's thoughts. However, Tang Xiao quickly retreated, warning, this is unwise, Jedi Knight. At that moment, the room's tension escalated as Niang's gang members, dressed in black suits, drew their pistols. Simultaneously, 4 destroyer robots emerged from a hidden door, surrounding Obi-Wan and Evan Peel. They unfolded their shields and aimed their dual rapid-fire blasters at the Jedi. I do not permit anyone to probe my mind. Respect my boundaries, Jedi Knight, Tang Xiao stated firmly, touching his forehead. Evan Peel gave Tang Xiao a stern look and silently exited. This was also unwise, Boss Ni. May the Force be with you, Obi-Wan added, mimicking the gesture to his forehead before following Evan Peel. Outside, Anakin and Jax found themselves encircled by gang members and 2 destroyer droids, standing back-to-back with their lightsabers drawn. It seems your knack for attracting trouble surpasses even mine, Master, Anakin remarked, eyeing the encroaching gang members. Let's leave, Obi-Wan decided, eager to depart. As they made their way out, Evan Peel shared a concerning observation. Boss Ni exudes the aura of the dark side. Do you mean he's also a practitioner of the dark side? Jax inquired. He possesses a slight affinity for the Force, albeit weak and insignificant. However, it's enough for me to sense the darkness within him. He must have connections to the dark side, Evan Peel concluded, hinting at a deeper, more sinister involvement. Evan Peel spoke with a sense of urgency. We've had contact with the murderer. The dark side's power shields him. Master Yoda was correct. The dark side's influence has indeed spread to the outer reaches of the galaxy. Obi-Wan Kenobi nodded in agreement. Then what's our next move? Surely Boss Ni won't be inviting us back for tea, Anakin quipped, his tone laced with sarcasm. Wait. Evan Peel, clearly not fond of Anakin's demeanor, shot him a glare before continuing. The wielder of the dark side will undoubtedly strike again. In his stronghold, Tang Xiao massaged his temples, visibly distressed. How is her condition? He inquired. She refuses to leave. She insists that Dawn Planet is not a place where one can simply take lives. We We didn't dare to force her, a subordinate reported, his face etched with fear. Understood, Tang Xiao replied, taking a sip from his glass. Kiliak, he actually dared to lodge a complaint with the Jedi Order. This could set a dangerous precedent. I must report this immediately. The Jedi haven't departed yet. Keep a close eye on her and ensure she doesn't cause any trouble during this period. However, on the second night, chaos ensued. Bossny, there's been a problem. She's escaped. A subordinate burst in, his voice filled with panic and anger. What? She escaped? Where did she go? Tang Xiao asked, shock evident in his voice. It seems she overheard us discussing Kiliak, so she set off to eliminate him, the subordinate explained. Tang Xiao clenched his fists, a storm of anger brewing within him, yet he managed to maintain his composure. What happens next is beyond our control. The governor will have plans in place. Stand down, he instructed calmly. Meanwhile, Evan Peel, deep in meditation at his residence, suddenly snapped his eyes open and declared, "He has emerged, the potent dark side force." Anakin felt it too. Over there. Without hesitation, he leaped out of the window and pursued the presence. Anakin! Stop! Anakin! That man is extremely dangerous, Obi-Wan shouted after him, but Anakin was already far ahead, prompting Obi-Wan to give chase. It's not too late. Let's catch up. This time, we must confront the perpetrator. Evan Peel exclaimed, his voice sharp with determination, as he and Jax Pawn hurried after them. Please remember to visit this book's first domain name for updates. For the fastest updates, visit the mobile version at URL. Vol 2, Chapter 470, Fierce Battle. In the shadowy depths of Narsada's cityscape, a dark figure darted through the night, pursued closely by Anakin Skywalker. The figure moved with astonishing speed, effortlessly navigating the complex urban terrain. She leaped over vast distances, using even the high-speed suspension vehicles and spaceships as platforms. Despite realizing she was being followed, she chose not to confront her pursuer, opting instead to flee. Anakin Skywalker was no ordinary Jedi Knight. His mastery and application of the Force were unparalleled, his talent unique. Yet, as he pursued the shadowy figure, he sensed something amiss. The fear emanating from her was palpable, an unexpected emotion for someone accused of slaughtering over 700 individuals in a single night. Moreover, her connection to the Force seemed tumultuous and erratic. As the chase unfolded, Anakin caught glimpses of the figure beneath the black cloak, her silhouette graceful against the night wind. Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice crackled through the communicator, urgent and commanding. Anakin, where are you? Don't act recklessly. Wait for Master Evan and me. It's too late, Master. If I stop now, she'll escape. She's deliberately avoiding us, Anakin responded, his voice tense. Suddenly, the woman halted atop a stack of cargo boxes, silently regarding Anakin. The night breeze revealed her form, accentuated by the cloak. Master, I'm at the storage area H3. It seems you're ready to confront me, Anakin whispered, igniting his lightsaber with a swift motion. Storage area H3? How did you end up so far away? Obi-Wan's frustration was evident over the communicator. She hitched a ride on a spaceship, covering a significant distance, Anakin explained with a shrug. Keep her engaged as long as you can. We're on our way, Obi-Wan instructed. Anakin could only offer a wry smile as the woman drew a metal hilt from her waist, activating a blood-red lightsaber blade. Why do you force me? She began, her voice low. You're the murder king responsible for over 700 deaths. Surrender now and return to the Jedi Temple for trial, Anakin demanded. The mention of the Jedi Temple caused the woman to tremble, her fear palpable, her connection to the Force growing darker and more chaotic. Jedi Temple? No, I can't. I can never return, she protested vehemently. Wait, were you once a Jedi Knight? Anakin asked, taken aback. The woman discarded her cloak, revealing a tight black suit and her face, a Twi'lek woman marred by pain and fear, her beauty twisted into something grotesque. With a manic smile, she declared, No, I don't know you, before launching herself at Anakin, her lightsaber drawing a blood-colored arc through the air. The atmosphere tensed as debris and cargo boxes vibrated violently, lifted by an unseen force and hurled towards Anakin. With lightning-fast reflexes, Anakin's lightsaber sliced through the incoming projectiles. But as he dealt with the last of the boxes, a blood-red blur emerged from the debris. Their lightsabers clashed, the magnetic fields humming loudly as their forces collided. Anakin sensed the woman's use of the Force was reminiscent of many Jedi Knights, yet it bore a raw, almost frenzied power. In that moment, he realized the depth of her strength and the madness driving her. The Force was abruptly withdrawn, and then she was struck in the chest with a powerful kick. The assailant then shoved Anakin into the back of the cargo box. Before he could regain his footing, the woman unleashed a relentless assault. Like Anakin, she employed the Fourth-style lightsaber technique, Ataru. This aggressive approach grew increasingly potent with her escalating momentum, and her swordsmanship surpassed Anakin's by a significant margin. This forced Anakin into a defensive retreat. In that moment, he even considered her to be more formidable than his master when employing the fourth style of swordsmanship. A cargo spaceship, moving at speeds comparable to a fighter jet, navigated around the hovering vehicles. Before it came to a halt, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Evan Peel leaped from it. Mid-air, they ignited their lightsabers, aiming directly at the woman from both sides. Upon noticing the arrival of two more adversaries, the woman deflected Anakin's lightsaber, then with a swift gesture, unleashed a powerful force wave. This wave sent Anakin tumbling out of the cargo box, landing with a thud, battered and bruised. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Evan engaged the woman in combat. Her ferocity escalated. Her movements became larger and quicker, and she seemed prepared to sustain injuries if it meant inflicting damage on her opponents. Suddenly, Evan Peel recognized her, exclaiming, "You're Adracatus. Weren't you declared dead?" Adracatus? I recall now. The apprentice who was believed to have perished alongside her master during a pirate attack 8 years ago, Obi-Wan added, his memory serving him well. No, Adela is gone. Now it's your turn, Adra retorted, her voice laced with madness as she attacked with her lightsaber. Evan Peel narrowed his eyes, issuing a command, "Capture her." His skills with the lightsaber were among the best within the Jedi Order, being a member of its highest council. As Obi-Wan intensified his offensive, Idra found herself overwhelmed, retreating step by step. However, the situation took an unexpected turn. Jax Puan, who had been piloting the cargo spaceship, let out a scream and leaped from the craft. Almost simultaneously, a series of red laser beams targeted the spaceship. The beams penetrated its shield, causing a massive explosion that sent the ship plummeting to the ground. "Jax!" Evan Peel shouted, leaping to catch Jax mid-fall. He caught him, noting the blood dripping from his back due to the explosion. A voice then echoed from above, dripping with disdain. "Several venerable Jedi Knights, ganging up on a young woman. The Jedi Order truly has lost its way." Please remember to visit the official website for updates. Volume 2, Chapter 4471, The Gang Fight. The atmosphere tensed as the air distorted mid-flight, heralding the sudden appearance of a red spaceship that hovered ominously. Atop it stood a figure draped in a black cloak, wielding a blood-red lightsaber with an air of menace. This individual had employed techniques akin to the Force Mask, rendering Obi-Wan Kenobi and his companions unable to discern the person's true appearance or stature. It was Darth Marthael, no longer the Tang Xiao they knew, but a Lord of the Sith. Evan Peel clenched his teeth, barely getting the words out. Lord of the Sith! The force within him screamed a warning. There was no mistaking it. The figure before them was an impostor, a false Sith Lord. You were Darth Maul's master. Obi-Wan Kenobi exclaimed, struggling to contain the fury in his voice. The memory of his master, Qui-Gon Jinn, falling to Darth Maul was vivid in his mind. Though Maul had been defeated, bisected by Obi-Wan's blade and presumed dead after tumbling into the abyss of a geothermal power station, the true orchestrator behind the tragedy remained at large, and it seemed increasingly likely that this orchestrator was the very person standing before them. Darth Maul? That failure was never worthy of being my apprentice, Darth Marthael retorted, a cold smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Your Sith ways are predictable. Discard those who are no longer of use. Obi-Wan shot back through gritted teeth. He adopted a defensive stance, his left hand mimicking a sword's point, while his right hand brandished his lightsaber, ready for the Sorosu form's third technique. Evan Peel, after ensuring the injured Jax Puan was safely with Anakin Skywalker, joined Obi-Wan's side. He faced Marthael squarely and demanded, "State your name, Lord of the Sith." But Marthael merely twirled his lightsaber, releasing a cloud of black smoke that emitted eerie wails, unsettling those who heard it. My Sith title would only bring you trouble. Let's just say you can call me the Angel of Death. Angel of Death? Evan Peel scoffed, unfamiliar with the term. What sort of religious nonsense have you concocted? It matters not. Your end is nigh. In an instant, Marthael vanished, reappearing before Evan Peel as a smoky apparition. He unleashed the seventh form of lightsaber combat, Juyo, enveloping Evan in a flurry of blood-red strikes. You'll soon understand what the Angel of Death truly means, Marthael sneered, his blade moving in a blur, forcing Evan Peel on the defensive. Obi-Wan rushed to assist, but halted, sensing danger. He dove aside just as the ground where he stood erupted into a bed of sharp stones. Rising to his feet, he saw a skull within the black smoke lunging at him. Shaking off the disorientation, Obi-Wan dispersed the smoke with his lightsaber and called out, "Master Evan, be cautious. This foe wields unfamiliar powers." "I've noticed," Evan Peel shouted back, launching another assault. The clash of their forces was like a tempest, stirring the very air around them into a vortex of chaos. Their lightsabers clashed at breakneck speeds, their powers vying for dominance in the space around them, each trying to outmaneuver and predict the other's next move. The environment became an extension of their will, objects large and small turning into weapons that they hurled at each other. Even the air seemed to bend to their command, entangling their limbs, seeking any advantage. Meanwhile, Edracatis, having recovered, joined the fray with a vengeance, her lightsaber aimed at Obi-Wan Kenobi with deadly intent. The battle raged on, the four combatants locked in a maelstrom of light, shadow, and force, the outcome hanging in the balance. In the midst of chaos, the forces of light and darkness intertwined, spiraling out of control and forming a violent tornado that engulfed the battlefield. It was at this moment that Darth Marthael revealed his formidable power. A terrifying chorus of ghostly howls and wolf cries filled the air as phantoms of various horrifying appearances emerged from the ground. These spirits, drawn from the countless souls who met their bitter end on the smuggler's moon, Nasada, were summoned by Darth Marthael's mastery of the dark side. Glowing with a malevolent hunger for life, they launched a frenzied assault on the Jedi Knights. The ghostly attacks, though intangible, sowed unease and fear in their targets. For Jedi Knights, who valued peace of mind above all, this was a devastating tactic. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Edracatis were locked in an evenly matched duel, but Evan Peel was struggling. He found himself retreating under the relentless assault as the force around him waned and sharp stones and twisted metal debris were hurled in his direction. Seeing his comrade in distress, Anakin Skywalker quickly laid Jax Pavan to safety, ignited his lightsaber, and rushed to join the battle. "Don't come here, Anakin. You're not his match," Evan Peel shouted, momentarily distracted, which resulted in a piece of metal gashing his chest, causing severe bleeding. Anakin, undeterred, summoned all his training and skill. He unleashed the aggressive techniques of the fifth-style swordsmanship, but it was not enough. Switching to the defensive Sheen form within the same style, he managed to barely cling to life. Evan Peel, despite his injury, rallied and joined Anakin, presenting a united front against Darth Marthael. However, they soon realized that Darth Marthael was a far more formidable opponent than they had anticipated. His innate talent, honed under the tutelage of Darth Plagueis and further strengthened by absorbing forbidden Sith knowledge from the spirit of Darth Tenebris, had made him incredibly powerful. At that critical juncture, the sky was suddenly illuminated by a barrage of searchlights. Hut Kiliak Desiljic and his forces descended upon the scene, determined to eliminate the source of the disturbance. It matters not who prevails below, be it the Murder King or the Jedi Knights. Their deaths will serve us well. "Open fire," he commanded coldly. A hail of blaster beams rained down, causing explosions all around. The combatants, caught in the crossfire, deflected the blasts with their lightsabers while continuing their fierce duel, adding to the chaos. Amidst the turmoil, a sinister smile played on Darth Marthael's lips. Seizing the moment when Evan Peel's attention was diverted, he surged forward with lightning speed. Ignoring the incoming blaster fire, his blood-red lightsaber cleaved through the air, decapitating Evan Peel in a swift, merciless stroke. Simultaneously, a dozen explosive beams struck him, scorching a vast expanse of his body, yet his smile remained, undiminished by the pain. Volume 2, Chapter 472, Slaying as Master Evan Peel's headless body began its slow descent to the ground. Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice was filled with agony. Master Evan, no! With a powerful shove, he repelled Edracatus, then swiftly grabbed a stunned Anakin Skywalker, urging him, Take Jax! Let's go! Quick! But, Evan Master! Anakin Skywalker, young and unaccustomed to the specter of death, could only stare blankly in the direction of Darth Marthael. The dark figure stood unchallenged, effortlessly deflecting every blaster beam aimed at him, a grotesque smile playing on his lips. In his hands, he conjured a force brimming with vitality. As this energy suffused his being, the wounds from the blaster beams, which had left his flesh charred, began to heal before their very eyes. The burnt skin sloughed off, revealing unmarred muscles and skin beneath the tattered remains of his cloak and combat attire. You know nothing of power. Darth Marthael's gaze turned to Obi-Wan Kenobi, his expression twisting into one of rage. Let's go, now! Realizing the futility of their situation, Obi-Wan Kenobi seized Anakin, turning to flee. Thinking of escaping? Leave your lives behind. Darth Marthael bellowed, his lightsaber cutting through the air as he pursued them, driven by a relentless desire to kill. To him, the notions of destiny and plots were irrelevant. Anyone who crossed his path was a target. As Obi-Wan Kenobi attempted to make their escape, he waved his hand, sending a barrage of cargo boxes flying towards Darth Marthael. Yet, with swift strikes of his lightsaber, Marthael reduced them to splinters, undeterred in his chase. Target the ones with the red lightsabers first. Kiliak Daziljic commanded from his spaceship, his voice booming. His priorities were clear. The ones wielding red lightsabers, responsible for the massacre of over 700 of Hector's men, were the true adversaries. The Jedi Knight could wait. If not now, there would be another opportunity. His crew redirected their fire towards Darth Marthael and Edracatus. Suddenly, translucent phantoms emerged, diving into the bodies of the gunmen. Those possessed screamed in terror, their surroundings warping into nightmarish visions, their allies morphing into monstrous entities. Demons. Monsters! Monsters! In their panic, the gunmen turned their weapons on each other. The ensuing chaos led to a catastrophic series of explosions, as some even crashed their spaceships in their frenzy. This diversion allowed Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, along with the injured Jax Poan, to escape in a hover car. A sinister gleam appeared in Darth Marthael's eyes as he surveyed the spaceships above. Kill them all, he commanded, steering the Sith infiltrator into the fray. Edracatus, demonstrating their seamless coordination, opted to stand atop the spaceship instead of entering it. The Sith infiltrator, now cloaked in invisibility, unleashed a barrage of fire upon the bounty hunters' spaceships, rendering them unable to retaliate. After gaining altitude, Edracatus leaped from the infiltrator, crashing through the open cabin of a bounty hunter's spaceship. Inside, he unleashed a deadly assault. Shortly after, the ship spiraled out of control, a red lightsaber blade slicing through its hull to create an escape route for Edra. Witnessing the dire turn of events, Kiliak Daziljic ordered his pilot to flee, but it was too late. Edra had already caught up with them aboard the Sith infiltrator. Darth Marthael pulled the trigger, unleashing a barrage of laser fire from the 6 cannons mounted on his spaceship. The beams violently struck the spaceship ahead, piercing its shields and reducing it to a cloud of smoke. Without hesitation, Marthael transformed into a cloud of smoke himself and leaped directly onto Kiliak's spaceship. Inside the cabin, Kiliak was in a state of panic, shouting orders to his crew. Quick, everyone, get over here! Block him! Block him! But before he could issue any further commands, the top of the spaceship was suddenly breached by the glowing blade of a red lightsaber. The intense heat from the lightsaber began to melt the surrounding armor. Methodically, the lightsaber carved a circle through the metal, and with a resounding thud, the molten top armor of the ship crashed to the floor. A figure clad in a black cloak descended through the opening, gracefully landing on the deck. He lifted his hood, revealing a grin, and said, "Long time no see, Kiliak. How have things been with Jabba?" Before Kiliak could fully process the situation or muster a response, the red glow of the lightsaber flashed once more, silencing him forever. Kiliak's head fell to the ground with a dull thud. Darth Marthael, his golden eyes gleaming, surveyed the terrified onlookers and spoke in a chilling tone. You have witnessed something you were never meant to see. The murder of Kiliak Deseligic, a prominent leader within one of the Hutt's largest families, on Nasada's territory, sent shockwaves through the underworld. The fact that Kiliak was slain by a lightsaber, coupled with the discovery of a Jedi Master's body at the scene, led Alok Besadi, a member of the Hutt Grand Council investigating the incident, to a hasty conclusion. Kiliak had been killed by the Jedi Order. The Hutt Grand Council was outraged. They issued a stern protest against the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order through official channels and severed all commercial routes through Hutt space. This action inflicted significant losses on the Galactic Republic. However, Speaker of the Republic, Shiv Palpatine, remained composed. After discussing the matter with Master Windu, Palpatine assured him that the Galactic Republic would handle the situation and negotiate with the Hutts. Although he did not delve into specifics, Palpatine's statement was enough to placate Master Windu. Palpatine then publicly claimed that the Jedi Order had been sent by the Galactic Republic to track down a fugitive, and that Kiliak's death was an unfortunate accident that occurred amidst the chaos wrongfully attributed to the Jedi. To appease the Hutts, the Galactic Republic offered certain concessions, which slightly mitigated their anger. However, the breach of trust between the Hutts and the Republic was irreparable, a development that Palpatine secretly welcomed. Vol. 2, Chapter 473, The Red and Blue Sisters. After being brought back to the Jedi Order for treatment, Jax Pawan, who had been gravely injured in an explosion, finally regained consciousness. The news of his master, Evan Peel's, valiant sacrifice overwhelmed him with grief. Lying on the hospital bed, tears streamed down his face as he lamented, "Master! Master! If only I hadn't been so powerless." Anakin Skywalker approached, offering comfort with a gentle hand on Jax's back. "Don't worry, Jax. We will ensure the Sith pay for what they've done," he said softly. Jax, too choked up to respond, simply gripped Anakin's hand tightly, his resolve shining through his tears. At that moment, a young Jedi apprentice entered the room. His lively appearance was marked by a braid on the left side of his head, signifying his status. He smiled at Anakin and relayed, "Master Yoda awaits you in the chamber, Big Brother Anakin." Anakin nodded in acknowledgement. "All right, Jingfang, I'll be there shortly." He then handed Jax a piece of colored metal, explaining, "This is a polonium crystal I found in Nasada. It changes colors when powered. I thought you might like it." With a reassuring pat on Jax's shoulder, Anakin made his way out. However, upon opening the door, Anakin was unexpectedly transported into a dense forest. Sunlight filtered through the towering trees, and the scene was alive with small animals foraging happily. The tranquility was abruptly shattered when Anakin, clutching his forehead in frustration, sighed, "I get it. You've improved your illusion with small animals. Can we stop now?" Suddenly, a massive python lunged at him with its jaws wide open. Anakin, caught off guard, stumbled backward, nearly drawing his lightsaber in panic. But then laughter rang out. The python transformed into a blonde girl, no older than 13 or 14, dressed in the simple white garb of a Jedi apprentice. Her soft blonde hair was tied back with a red headband. A second girl, similarly dressed but with a blue headband and paler skin, peeked out from behind her. "This is not funny at all, Luna Fantasy," Anakin exclaimed, visibly shaken. "Ha! You're just too easy to scare." The girl with the red headband, Luna Han from the Planet of Dawn, laughed heartily. "Enough! Master Yoda has summoned me." Anakin, having no interest in further antics, stood up briskly. "You're scared," remarked Luna Meng, the girl with the blue headband, from behind her sister. "Oh, what could he possibly be afraid of, sister?" Luna Han teased, looking at Anakin with a mischievous grin. "Would you like me to show you what you truly fear?" "Enough, Luna Han. Stop this nonsense and come back here," a stern voice interrupted. At the sound, Luna Meng and Luna Han immediately looked down, resembling a mouse and cat caught in the act, and stood still. Anakin turned to see the newcomer and promptly saluted, "Master Balaba." The woman who approached was in her 30s, with a dark complexion, wide cheeks, and 3 gems adorning her face from the brow to the nose bridge. Though not conventionally beautiful, Depa Balaba exuded a dignified and majestic presence. She was Master Windu's apprentice, one of the Jedi Order's most skilled swordsmen, and a young member of the Jedi High Council. Since Master Yoda is waiting for you, you shouldn't be here playing with these two, Depa Billaba stated firmly. I apologize. I'll head there immediately, Anakin responded, quickly excusing himself and hurrying away as if escaping the situation. As they made their escape, Anakin Skywalker was determined not to provoke either Depa Billaba or the Dream Sisters. Despite his intentions, the mischievous pair seemed to enjoy teasing him. Their mastery of the Force was unpredictable and difficult to defend against. After Anakin left, Depa Billaba turned her gaze towards Luna Meng and Luna Han, her silence more intimidating than any words could be. The tension was palpable. Feeling the weight of their actions, Luna Huan bravely stepped forward, willing to take full responsibility. I'm sorry, Master. This was all my idea. My sister had nothing to do with it, she declared, extending her hand and closing her eyes in anticipation of the punishment. Luna Meng, though hesitant, also extended her hand, unwilling to let her sister face the consequences alone. With a cold huff, Depa Billaba's force-enhanced discipline struck the palms of the sisters. The impact was severe, bringing tears to their eyes and reddening their hands. Yet, Luna Han tried to comfort her sister, insisting, It's okay, sister. It doesn't hurt at all. Depa Billaba sighed, her demeanor softening. Despite their mischief, she couldn't help but feel affection for the talented and endearing sisters. You must understand that your force abilities should not be used lightly. Misuse could lead to severe consequences, even imprisonment, she warned. I'm sorry, Master. I was just excited to incorporate small animals into my illusions. Luna Huan admitted quietly. Return to your quarters. You are confined for 3 days, Depa Billaba announced before leaving. Her distrust of Anakin Skywalker mirrored that of her own master, Mace Windu. However, she saw great potential in the Dream Sisters from the planet of Dawn, believing their unique connection to the Force could surpass even the prophesied Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker. Meanwhile, Anakin arrived at the council chamber just in time to overhear Obi-Wan Kenobi discussing the loss of Master Evan Peel and his desire to continue training Jax Pawan alongside Anakin. You are aware that the Jedi Order's rules permit a master to train only one apprentice, Master Windu pointed out. But Master Depa Billaba is training 2, Obi-Wan countered. The Dream Sisters, though 2 individuals, share the same Force presence. Their situation is unique. Master Windu clarified, standing firm on the Order's regulations. Proper arrangements for Jax Pavan will be made. Our focus must remain on the re-emergence of the Sith Lord, Master Yoda interjected with his wise, aged voice. Anakin entered the chamber, finding most members of the Jedi Order's Supreme Council present, with Obi-Wan standing at the center, addressing them. Shortly after, Depa Billaba joined and took her seat, ready to partake in the discussions that would shape their actions in the days to come. Vol 2, Chapter 474, The Expansion of the Dark Side. As everyone gathered, Master Windu, with his chin resting thoughtfully in his hand, spoke in a grave tone. Now that we're all here, it's crucial we address the recent events. He paused, surveying the room before continuing. Over the past few years, our losses have been heavy. Master Mika Geet fell on the planet Injori. Master Kiadi Mundi was lost to the civil unrest on Seiria. Master Ariel Puff sacrificed himself to protect Coruscant. Master Yedel perished on Mawan. And these are just from the Supreme Council. The Jedi Knights and Masters have paid a higher price, including Master Qui-Gon Jinn and Master Dooku, who left our order. Now we mourn for Master Evan Peel. He took a moment, letting the weight of his words sink in, then added, All signs point to the dark side's growing strength. They are relentless in their quest to topple the Galactic Republic and annihilate the Jedi Order. 8 years ago on Naboo, Sith Lord Darth Maul ended Master Qui-Gon Jinn's life. We've long debated whether this Sith Lord was a master or an apprentice, but now I believe we have our answer. The Sith Lord orchestrating these events is more cunning, more powerful, and far more elusive than we imagined. We must uncover his identity and bring him to justice. Turning to Anakin, Master Windu inquired, Anakin, by the time Obi-Wan Kenobi and Evan Peel arrived, you were engaged in combat with Aedra Cadis, a servant of the dark side. Did you notice anything peculiar about her during your encounter? Anakin Skywalker reflected for a moment before responding. Aedra Cadis was consumed by chaos, almost devoid of self-awareness, like a wild beast on a rampage. However, in the presence of that Sith Lord, she was completely submissive. It leads me to believe there's a hierarchy at play. Obi-Wan Kenobi chimed in. That Sith Lord also expressed disdain for Darth Maul, claiming Maul was unworthy of being his apprentice. Initially, I thought it was mere contempt for a failed pupil, but now, it seems there's more to it. Master Windu, with a furrowed brow, speculated, "Are you suggesting Darth Maul's master might be someone else?" Master Yoda, breaking his silence, added, "A disturbance in the Force. 11 years ago, in the model sector." He sighed deeply, but it vanished shortly after the Dawn Planet's uprising. Obi-Wan nodded. "Indeed, my master Qui-Gon Jinn and I were dispatched to investigate. We assisted the Dawn Planet Reclamation Group in repelling a pirate invasion. Reflecting on it now, on Narsada, the Hutt gang leader Kiliak Dasiljich reported a massacre by a darkside user, claiming over 700 lives. This gang had recently defected from Tang Xiao, who we now suspect is linked to Dawn Planet." Master Windu's eyes narrowed. "So, there's a possible connection between this Sith Lord and Dawn Planet?" He then turned to Coleman Truber. "Master Bo, during your census on Dawn Planet 6 years ago, did you uncover anything unusual?" Coleman Truber shook his head. The inhabitants of Dawn Planet were exceedingly hospitable, and nothing seemed amiss. However, they were hesitant to release Jing Fang and the Dream Sisters, who showed potential in the Force, to our care. Despite this, the planetary governor, Tang Xiao, was quick to arrange for their training with the Jedi Order. It's perplexing, considering their current support for the separatist movement. Luna Meng and Luna Huan possess extraordinary Force abilities. Despite Luna Huan's mischievous nature, their potential is boundless, he concluded, hinting at the complexity and depth of the challenges they faced in unraveling the dark side's expansion. "We should extend our gratitude to the Dawn Planet for providing us with such exceptional apprentices," Depa Balaba remarked, her tone stern yet affectionate. Despite her strict demeanor, she held a soft spot for the remarkably talented Dream Sisters, often speaking to them in confidence. Her admiration for the Dawn Planet was evident as she praised its contributions to the Jedi Order and its nurturing environment. However, in Tang Xiao, I sensed a strong presence of the dark side. Master Evan Peel once attempted to use the Force to influence Tang Xiao, but not only did it fail to work on the first attempt, it also made him more cautious. Master Evan believes that someone was shielding him with the power of the dark side, Obi-Wan Kenobi shared, his voice laced with concern. "It has been over a century, and the dark side has enshrouded it. This period also marks the rise of the Sith conspiracy. It's implausible for such a scheme to overthrow the Republic to have been orchestrated in just a few years," Master Yoda observed, his voice grave. "The emergence of a Sith Lord is the only plausible explanation." Rising to his feet, he leaned on his cane and declared firmly, "The power of the dark side is growing stronger, breeding fear. We must delve deeper into the source of this darkness and strive to halt its spread." Jedi Master Shakti, seated to the side, added, "I am somewhat familiar with Edra Caddis. She indeed possesses a significant talent in the Force, though she still falls short of Anakin's capabilities. However, as demonstrated in the recent battle where she momentarily overpowered Anakin, if she were to be seduced and corrupted by this new Sith Lord, then this adversary is far more formidable than we initially believed." Having succeeded Master Yaddle as a member of the Supreme Council, Shakti was known for her reserved nature and her nurturing care for Anakin, deeply mourning the fall of Edra Caddis. Yet, the Dawn Planet has faced severe repercussions for its continuous defiance against the Galactic Republic's decisions, including being severed from all trade routes and subjected to trade sanctions by the Speaker. It has become a hotbed for separatist movements. Investigating there would likely require a fleet, Master Windu expressed, his brow furrowed with concern. "I propose an alternative approach. While the Dawn Planet itself is a stronghold, it has been expanding its influence in the Kuna star cluster, leading to conflicts with the local Ailu people, including direct confrontations. This suggests that the situation in the Kuna cluster is more complex than on the Dawn Planet itself. This complexity could provide us with an opportunity to infiltrate and gather intelligence discreetly," Shakti suggested, offering a strategic perspective on how to proceed. Vol 2, Chapter 475, The Last Piece. Undertaking this mission is fraught with danger. The Dawn Planet may harbor hostility towards us, Master Yoda expressed with concern. However, we must also ascertain the status of the new Sith Lord. I concur with Master Shak Ti's suggestion. Master Windu agreed, nodding. I recommend Jedi Master Shenjan for this task. His thoughtful and cautious nature, coupled with his common appearance on the Dawn Planet due to his yellow skin, increases our chances of a successful covert investigation, Shak Ti proposed. Master Yoda gave a slight nod in agreement. Master Shenjan will indeed bring us valuable information about this Sith Lord. Furthermore, concerning the nomination for Master Evan Peel's successor on the Supreme Council, I propose Master Kit Festo. Let us proceed to the vote, Master Windu concluded. Turning to Anakin and his mentor, he added, You are dismissed for now. With separatism spreading across the galaxy, we hope you can assist the Republic in navigating this crisis. May the Force be with you. Anakin and Obi-Wan nodded before leaving the chamber. In the corridor, Anakin whispered, Master, do you think we could? Don't even consider it, Anakin. I know what you're contemplating, Obi-Wan Kenobi interjected, glancing at his apprentice. Perhaps Qui-Gon Jinn might have entertained the idea, but it's out of the question for me. Our relations with the Dawn Planet are too precarious. Venturing there now would be akin to walking into a trap. Anakin shook his head, gazing out the window. He hadn't seriously considered venturing to the Dawn Planet, aware of the mortal danger such a mission would entail. With the planet's close ties to the Separatists, any Jedi would be at risk of capture or worse. Yet, his thoughts drifted to a robot on distant Tatooine, a guardian that had shared grand tales and shielded him from harm with its steel body. It reminded him of a model from the Fourth Group. Meanwhile, Jax Poan, recuperating in a hospital bed, received an enigmatic gift, a robot. The tag attached identified it as his father's, I-5YQ, but offered no further information. The robot's memory had been erased, leaving Jax puzzled. He remembered his father, Lorne Pavin, perishing in a fire in Coruscant's warehouse district, a tragedy confirmed by the Coruscant Sheriff's Department. Receiving his father's robot now sparked questions about the true circumstances of his father's death. During these tumultuous times, the internal strife within the Jedi Order seemed insignificant against the backdrop of the Galactic Republic's looming civil war. Even ordinary citizens sensed the impending conflict. It had been 8 years since the inception of the Clone Army in 32 BY. Though he hadn't inspected the progress personally, Chancellor Palpatine had been covertly monitoring the construction of the army. Through indirect means, he estimated that the clone army stationed on the now-hidden Camino exceeded 1 million soldiers. This formidable force wasn't under his command yet, but Palpatine knew that with a single directive, he could sway their loyalty. However, he understood the importance of maintaining a veneer of legality. Any premature action could expose him as a traitor. Like a spider lurking in the shadows, Palpatine meticulously wove his web, orchestrating his schemes across the galaxy, secretly bolstering the fragmented separatist forces. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, the criminal syndicate known as the Black Sun, along with other gangsters, wreaked havoc, especially on the chaotic outer planets. Major commercial and financial institutions turned a blind eye to the rampant looting on these outer rim planets, leading to widespread poverty, hunger, chaos, and disorder. The people of these planets bore the brunt of these hardships, facing the threat of being stripped of their citizenship. In the Galactic Republic, loss of citizenship meant a grim fate, toiling in dark mines or living as someone's slave. Yet, this harsh punishment became all too common in the Outer Rim Terror, Itoris. Amidst this despair, Count Dooku's efforts offered a glimmer of hope to the beleaguered Outer Rim. Ships from several commercial giants arrived on these desperate planets, bringing with them high-interest loans, cheap goods, food, job opportunities, and oppressive treaties. Although this approach was akin to drinking poison to quench thirst, it provided a means for survival. Consequently, these planets were coerced into joining the separatist movement, becoming unwilling fuel for the separatist war machine under the yoke of unfair treaties. They were burning themselves to ignite war. Although Count Dooku portrayed the separatist movement as a noble struggle for freedom and resistance against exploitation, The reality was starkly different. Much like historical grassroots uprisings, the majority of those who joined did so out of a desperate need to survive, unwittingly becoming pawns in the schemes of a few ambitious individuals. The true beneficiaries of the separatist movement were a handful of planets with industrial capabilities, advanced technology, and economic strength. Such planets were rare in the Outer Rim. The separatist movement offered a path to those planets that had been exploited and pushed to the brink by the aristocracy of the Galactic Republic's inner and core circles. However, they were unaware that this path would lead them to further desperation. Under the collaboration between Palpatine and Count Dooku, the separatist movement escalated, reaching a peak of open conflict by the year 24 BBY. Enticed by the promise of sustenance from corporate giants, throngs of starving individuals from the outer planets took to the streets, wielding placards and vocally opposing the Republic, demanding freedom for all to see. The more developed planets of the inner ring and core watched these developments with indifference, some even finding amusement in the turmoil. Only Palpatine appeared actively engaged, taking steps that made it seem as though he was the sole figure striving to halt the conflict and secure peace. He assembled a group of relatively principled members of the Parliament to form an organization known as the Loyalty Committee. Their mission was to lobby planets leaning towards separatism, urging them to return to the Republic's fold. However, this effort was akin to asking these congressmen to replace tangible needs like food, affordable goods, and employment with mere words, a daunting task when survival was at stake. Vol. 2, Chapter 476, The Road to War of the Galactic Republic, Part 1. The actions of the Loyalty Committee members in the Outer Rim territories were met with severe backlash. Some members were even attacked and killed by enraged citizens. Despite the tragic outcomes, these incidents served to accumulate significant political capital for Palpatine. He manipulated the situation by having the media outlets under his control broadcast the violent images of the committee members being assaulted, lynched, and even burned alive by the Outer Rim populace. Subsequently, Palpatine made a public show of righteousness by ordering the removal of these videos from the media, although the damage had already been done. The graphic content had spread widely, casting a negative light on the situation and leading planets in the Mid-Rim to view those in the Outer Rim as terrorists. This manipulation of public opinion ignited a firestorm of hostility across the galaxy. Citizens of the core worlds began to resent the Outer Rim, believing their own hardships were due to the Republic's overextension in supporting these undesirables. Meanwhile, those in the Outer Rim were dehumanized, seen merely as potential slaves that should not hinder the profit-making of the more affluent sectors. The planets in the core worlds, particularly those with vested interests in the military-industrial complex, were eager for conflict, anticipating the profits it would bring. In the midst of rising tensions, Chancellor Palpatine adopted a posture of empathy and peace. He publicly advocated for understanding and support for the Outer Rim, making statements that painted him as a champion of peace. "I always believe that when a person can't even eat enough, all his actions can be forgiven," he proclaimed. "Before we cast blame on the Outer Rim, we should first ask ourselves if we could do more to help them." He went on to assert that while he would lead the galaxy into battle against an external threat without hesitation, internal conflict should be avoided at all costs, as we are all one family. Palpatine's rhetoric was persuasive, almost to the point of deception. Were there a Nobel Peace Prize in this galaxy, he would likely have been a multiple-time recipient. Following his public appeals, Palpatine visited the Jedi Temple to meet with Master Yoda. Their discussion on the galaxy's future was lengthy, and upon leaving, Palpatine posed a poignant question to Yoda. "Do you think war will really break out?" Yoda's response was cryptic, yet foreboding. "Now, the dark side covers everything, unseen. The future is." "I'll try," Palpatine solemnly vowed, before departing in his shuttle, flanked by his red-armored guards. On March 21, 24 BBY, Palpatine delivered a galaxy-wide holographic address that was unprecedented in its reach. With the media's undivided attention, he presented himself as a martyr for peace, subtly discrediting separatism and Count Dooku, while positioning himself on a moral high ground. His portrayal was so effective that opposition seemed not only misguided but inhumane. In his speech, Palpatine declared his unwavering commitment to peace, despite the galaxy's clamor for war. He concluded with a bold proposition to Count Dooku, an open, fair, and direct debate. Palpatine's invitation was not just a diplomatic gesture, but a strategic move to further solidify his image as a leader earnestly seeking peace amidst brewing conflict. In a bid to avert a full-scale war, Speaker Schiff Palpatine made a public appeal for peace, suggesting that wisdom and reason could lead to a resolution without resorting to conflict. He proposed conducting negotiations on the neutral planet Botavi, or any other neutral ground, inviting Count Dooku to open discussions. Palpatine emphasized that his communication channels would remain open around the clock, though he refrained from disclosing the negotiation time for security reasons. He assured that Count Dooku could reach out to him at any moment to schedule a meeting. Palpatine's speech was widely regarded as his final attempt to secure peace. The media extensively covered his invitation for negotiations, framing it as an opportunity for Count Dooku to demonstrate his willingness to avoid war. The consensus was clear. If Dooku remained obstinate, he would bear the full responsibility for the ensuing conflict. However, Count Dooku did not respond to the invitation. His silence was not an oversight, but a deliberate choice, having already aligned his strategy with Darth Sidious. Their plan necessitated that Dooku be perceived as the instigator of the war, absolving Palpatine and the Galactic Republic of any blame. This strategy also implicated major interstellar corporations like the Interstellar Banking Association, the Trade Union, the Fourth Group, the Enterprise Alliance, the Commercial Guild, and the Technology Alliance, marking them as culprits in the conflict. This maneuver was designed to lay the groundwork for their eventual downfall and the redistribution of their assets to support the establishment of a new order. Dooku's silence was interpreted as a tacit declaration of war, a realization that dawned on the entire Galactic Republic. After a month of fruitless waiting, Palpatine regretfully announced that peace efforts had failed and the window for negotiations had closed. Yet, he maintained that the door to peace would remain open until the very last moment, should Count Dooku decide to seek a peaceful resolution. Following this, Palpatine returned to the Galactic Council and brought the prospect of war into the open. He introduced the Military Creation Act, aimed at re-establishing the armed forces of the Republic. The bill was scheduled for a plenary vote on May 16th, marking the Republic's first step towards war. Vol. 2, Chapter 477, The Road to War of the Galactic Republic, Part 2. As the separatist movement steadily marches toward war, the Galactic Republic finds itself compelled to respond. Intelligence reports indicate that the Separatists are constructing a vast fleet of new warships, flagrantly violating the restrictions set by the Rusan Reformation Treaty. These ships boast hyperdrive capabilities, weapon power, and shield capacities far exceeding the treaty's limits. In comparison, the Judicial Fleet's main battleships, the Colossal Prosecutor class, Governor class, and Commander class, with lengths exceeding 8,000 meters, 4,000 meters, and 2,500 meters respectively, appear vulnerable. They stand to be easily outmatched by the Separatists' more nimble 1,000-meter class warships. This cycle of escalating ship sizes reflects the spiraling arms race that fuels the galaxy's fear of impending conflict. This fear is akin to being a heavy industry magnate cornered by thugs in an alley. While you could, in theory, convert your enterprises into military production and retaliate with overwhelming force, in that moment of confrontation, you are defenseless and at risk of defeat. The logical solution? Prepare the tanks before stepping out, neutralizing the threat before it can materialize. May 16, 24 BBY, marks a pivotal moment in the history of the Galactic Republic. On this day, the Military Creation Act proposed by Speaker Schiff Palpatine was defeated. Contrary to Palpatine's expectations, the vote did not secure a majority in the Galactic Council. Despite the palpable fear of war among the council members, Palpatine underestimated the depth of corruption and self-interest that plagued the Republic's politicians. The act would have granted Palpatine emergency powers and legislative authority during wartime, powers that the council members were loath to relinquish, even in the face of imminent war. They preferred to cling to their authority, enjoying its benefits for as long as possible, regardless of the looming threat. History is replete with examples of courtiers and traders who prioritize their interests over the common good at the end of dynasties. The Galactic Republic is no exception, with such individuals pervading the Galactic Parliament. Additionally, strong opposition from Senator Francis Underwood of Dawn Planet and the New Circle faction he leads played a significant role in the Act's defeat. Although the New Circle faction has diminished in size, with many planets withdrawing from the Parliament, its remaining members persist in their efforts to undermine the Republic. For Francis Underwood, his opposition was not about clinging to power, but about buying time for Tang Xiao to prepare for the upcoming conflict, despite knowing his tenure in the Republic's Parliament was drawing to a close. However, Schiff Palpatine is not one to be deterred by a single setback. Following the vote, Councillor Aoun Frita of Raynor proposed a new bill, asserting that in these extraordinary times, only Speaker Palpatine was fit to lead the Republic. With Palpatine's second term nearing its end and the Constitution barring him from re-election, this proposal aimed to extend his leadership in the face of the separatist threat, highlighting the complex political maneuvers at play as the galaxy edges closer to war. The imminent change in leadership within the Galactic Republic signaled a potentially tumultuous period ahead. The replacement of a top leader often heralded a discontinuity or even a fault in policy. From any perspective, such an outcome was dire, potentially giving the Separatists more opportunities and causing the Galactic Republic to lose future conflicts. In a bold move, Aoun Frita proposed granting Chancellor Palpatine an unrestricted additional term until he could fully resolve the separatist crisis. This proposal, perhaps influenced by Palpatine's significant political power and positive public image, as well as a compensatory gesture for the previously unpassed Military Creation Act, was overwhelmingly approved. The passage of this bill allowed Chancellor Palpatine to break free from the constraints of term limits, enabling him to act without restraint within the Galactic Republic and expand his influence unchecked. This marked a historic moment, as the election of the Speaker in 28 BY became the last in the Galactic Republic's 25,000-year history, making Palpatine the final Chancellor. During this time, Palpatine pondered another issue. He recognized his mistake and understood that to convince the corrupt and greedy members of Parliament to relinquish their power, he needed a more substantial foreshadowing of reality. With patience on his side, he was willing to wait for 2 years. These 2 years passed swiftly, and Count Dooku maintained a tacit understanding with Palpatine, knowing his master was not yet ready to take the final step. Dooku busied himself with preparations, gradually unifying the Outer Rim star region under his leadership. An administrative system independent of the Republic began to take shape among these planets, facilitating resource allocation in anticipation of future conflicts. Notably, Claire Underwood, wife of Francis Underwood, gained significant reputation in the Outer Rim for establishing the Mutual Aid Fund. Accepting Count Dooku's invitation, she reorganized the Outer Rim Sector Mutual Aid Fund into the Outer Rim Sector Administrative Headquarters, coordinating affairs among the planets that joined the separatist movement. This reorganization was also a strategic move to favor Tang Xiao and Dawn Planet, which, since the Battle of Naboo in 32 BBY, had developed significantly over the past 10 years, drawing serious attention from figures like Count Dooku. Tang Xiao's preparation plan was now entering its final stage, setting the stage for the unfolding events. Vol 2, Chapter 478, Investigation. In the outer reaches of the Milky Way, within the Draskar Galaxy, a flash of white light heralded the arrival of 2 state-of-the-art Delta-7 fighter jets. Emerging from hyperspace, they appeared in this secluded galaxy, ready for their mission. "Master, we've arrived," announced a young human Jedi apprentice, deftly pressing a series of buttons in the cockpit to release the fighter from its hyperspace ring. Inside the other fighter, a Mon Calamari Jedi Master, his face etched with wrinkles reminiscent of a flounder, responded, "Let's search for clues here, Layun." The Jedi Master, named Yakin, was an experienced mentor to Layun, the apprentice. As Layun observed the large space station before them, he noted with a frown, This space station appears to be abandoned. Indeed, the station, spanning over 500 meters in diameter, lay in darkness, its engines silent, no longer maintaining its synchronous orbit. Yet, due to its high orbit, it had not succumbed to the gravitational pull of the small, lifeless satellite planet below. 10 years ago, Artanis and her master were ambushed by interstellar pirates near the Sarkar system. They were traveling in an unarmed civilian ship and were easily overpowered, Yakin recounted with a sigh. At the time, everyone believed they perished. However, 2 years ago, Edra resurfaced in Narsada, having succumbed to the dark side. Yakin continued, after their ship was downed, her master managed to save her, but she was ultimately captured by the pirates. They sold her to the Cyrosex group, and this station, where an auction was held and Edra was sold, is the lead we've been following. Lion, overcome with anger, slammed his fist against the console. Those bastards! Control your emotions, Lion, Yakin cautioned. I understand that you and Edra were close, and perhaps your feelings went beyond friendship. But remember, the Jedi Order forbids romantic relationships between Force-sensitive individuals, especially among Jedi Knights. Moreover, Edra is not the person you once knew. If necessary, we may have to confront her. Lion, through gritted teeth, expressed his hope. If possible, I want to bring her back to the Jedi Order. Yakin sighed. My decision to investigate was not to dwell on the past, but to sever ties with it. Love, fear, anger, all can lead to the dark side. I cannot allow you to follow Edra's path. My resolve has never been stronger, Master, Lion assured him. Our goal is to uncover the reason behind Edra's fall. This space station clearly experienced some catastrophe. Notice the console there. A section has been blown out. Investigate inside the station while I search the satellite's surface for more clues. Following Yakin's instructions, Lion entered the space station through the hangar platform, which showed signs of deliberate evacuation. The station, once a luxurious villa in space, now abandoned, held no value. The cost of relocation or dismantling was prohibitive, leading to its neglect. After thorough investigation, Yakin and Lion discovered significant clues in the control center, where the explosion had occurred. Lion found a piece of fibrous material entangled in twisted metal, likely a fragment of a woman's garment, and within it, a torn card. Hold on, an information card? Lion mused, handing it to his navigation droid, Kato T7, for scanning and analysis via remote communication. The results were intriguing. The fourth group? They were involved in this auction? What is their connection to the Ceres X group? Yakin's voice crackled through the communicator. I've also found numerous spaceship wrecks on the satellite. It seems there was a battle here. Lion, while conducting his investigation at the space station, glanced through the porthole and noticed an object floating in the distance. Utilizing the Force to enhance his vision, he discerned it was a B-1 battle droid adrift in space. Opting not to alert his master immediately, Lion proceeded to the hangar platform, boarded his Delta-7 fighter, and pursued the droid's wreckage. Skillfully, he captured it with the tractor beam and brought it back to the space station. Upon examining the robot in the hangar, Lion observed, this robot is in relatively good condition, albeit devoid of energy. He then instructed KOT-7, the navigation droid, to attempt reactivation. KOT-7 extended a mechanical arm, connected it to the B-1 robot's charging slot, and initiated a power transfer. The B-1 robot stirred to life, albeit sluggishly due to the low power, and uttered in a fragmented voice, the goods, send, Socho, planet of Ren. Puzzled by the mention of an unfamiliar planet, Lion returned to his fighter's cockpit to search for planet Sojourn on the star map, only to find no such planet listed. During this time, Yakin contacted him, sharing information obtained with Master Coleman's assistance from the Ministry of Commerce. According to the Ministry's records, there's no official link between the fourth group and the Cyresex group. However, a decade ago, the Cyresex group underwent a mysterious financial transaction followed by a board election triggered by the untimely demise of the former director, Safe Cyresex. The funds for this transaction originated from a trust fund owned by the fourth group, suggesting an undocumented and possibly illicit deal, with efforts made to conceal this transaction. Yakin paused, then added, our investigation might be on the right track. Artanis was last seen in Nishada, where she eliminated a gang of over 700 members. This gang was known to be rivals with another gang led by Tang Xiao, who is likely backed by the fourth group. So Idra's downfall could be linked to the fourth group? La Yun pondered aloud, while simultaneously working to decrypt the B1 robot's data and responding to his master. Despite multitasking, his actions were precise and methodical. We have evidence that the fourth group was involved in the auction and subsequently transferred a significant sum to the Cyresex group, Yakin confirmed over the communication. Suddenly, La Yun's efforts bore fruit. Slamming his hand on the keyboard in triumph, he exclaimed, "I've done it, Master! I've discovered a planet that's not on any star map, Planet Sojourn, Vol 2, Chapter 479, Falling into a Trap." The white light of hyperspace travel flickered momentarily as Yakin and La Yun piloted their Delta 7 fighter jets through the hyperspace ring towards the coordinates of their destination, the planet Sojourn. As they approached, La Yun observed the planet's surface, which was predominantly covered in lava, and expressed his confusion. How could this planet be in such a state? According to the calculations from the optical brain, given this planet's orbit, it should have a climate suitable for habitation. Yakin responded gravely, "There's only one explanation for this: orbital bombardment." La Yun, scrutinizing the data provided by the optical brain, concurred, "It appears you're right. A preliminary scan reveals that the nuclear radiation levels in the planet's atmosphere are significantly above safe limits. It seems the planet was subjected to a nuclear attack. Who would target such a remote planet? What could have possibly happened here?" Yakin pondered aloud, gazing at the scorched planet below. "Master, there's also a space station here," La Yun suddenly exclaimed. "I was so focused on scanning the planet's surface that I neglected to check its surroundings. The space station is currently on the opposite side of the planet. Let's investigate," Yakin decided. They accelerated their fighter jets, utilizing the Delta 7's superior acceleration capabilities to reach their destination within minutes. "This space station is just like the one we encountered in the Draskor galaxy. There's no energy signature and no signs of life," La Yun observed, examining the sensor readings. "Moreover, it seems that if we hadn't arrived when we did, the station would be pulled into the planet's atmosphere by its gravitational pull and destroyed within 79 standard hours." "Be cautious, La Yun. I sense danger. This space station may hold more than meets the eye," Yakin warned solemnly. "I suppose danger is to be expected, especially considering the station's imminent destruction," La Yun reasoned. "But if we don't search for clues now, we might lose them forever. We'll never find the answers we seek if we shy away from the Sith Lord's trail." "Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment, La Yun. You must attune yourself to the Force. Let it guide our actions," Yakin advised. "My feelings aren't a distraction. They're part of being human, Master. I remain committed to the light and to my heart, but I won't ignore my emotions. I care for Adra, and I won't deny it," La Yun asserted. "If Adra were beyond redemption, would you be able to confront her yourself?" Yakin challenged. "I would, Master," La Yun replied with conviction. "Then let's proceed to the space station. Hesitating in the face of danger is not the Jedi way," Yakin declared, steering the fighter jet towards their destination. Upon docking their jets in the hangar, they entered the interior of the space station. The environment was cramped, dark, and poorly ventilated, suggesting damage to the life support systems and a critical drop in energy supply. Surprisingly, the station was orderly and showed no signs of combat or other forms of damage. "There seems to have been recent activity here," Yakin whispered, a sense of unease in his voice. "The danger we sense doesn't stem from the structural integrity of the station." "I feel it too, Master. Despite its apparent abandonment, this station isn't devoid of activity," La Yun agreed, drawing his lightsaber and scanning their surroundings cautiously. "Be careful," Yakin suddenly shouted, his lightsaber flashing into action. A green blade sliced through the air, targeting a figure that had silently approached from behind. The figure, displaying remarkable agility, twisted away at the last moment, receiving only a cut on the arm instead of a fatal blow to the chest. Before they could further assess the situation, La Yun cried out, "Above!" Glancing upwards, they spotted several figures lurking in the shadows of the ceiling corners, poised for attack. Supporting themselves against the wall, L with their hands and feet, the two figures performed a feat beyond the capabilities of ordinary individuals. The moment they were spotted, they plummeted from the sky. The master and his apprentice, wielding their lightsabers, prepared to confront the intruders. It was only upon closer inspection that they realized these figures were actually robots, boasting a highly distinctive design. Their main structure consisted of soft, artificial muscle fiber tissue encased in a light alloy shell. Their heads were elongated and rounded, with faces almost entirely taken up by flashlight-like sensors, marking a unique and unfamiliar design to Yajin, who had neither seen nor heard of such robots before. "Be cautious. These are a new type of robot," Yajin cautioned his apprentice, slicing through the robots with his lightsaber. However, destroying them proved challenging. The artificial muscle fibers were exceptionally durable, capable of withstanding ordinary blaster shots to some extent, as Yajin discerned through the force feedback from his lightsaber. Moreover, these robots exhibited agility and responsiveness surpassing most known robots. Yun, after dispatching a few robots, knelt to examine the white liquid oozing from the artificial muscles, his expression grave. "Master, these robots are equipped with tools, which suggests they are not designed for combat. If these are merely their laborers and they're this formidable, imagine the capabilities of their warriors. We must alert the Jedi Order immediately. If these robots are produced in significant numbers, it could spell disaster for the Republic," Yajin declared. Yun attempted to use the communicator, only to be met with static. "Communication's been cut. It's a trap. Let's get out of here," Yajin commanded, turning to retrace their steps. However, their escape was thwarted by the sudden closure of all automatic doors and the ominous hum of the space station coming to life, accompanied by the restoration of lighting. To their dismay, the front door swung open, revealing larger robots armed with assault rifles charging towards them. Despite variations in their designs, the flashlight-like sensor remained a consistent feature. As the robots opened fire, unleashing a barrage of plasma beams, Yajin was ready. With swift movements, he deflected the plasma beams with his lightsaber, incapacitating several robots. Yet more robots surged forward, and astonishingly, those previously downed by the plasma beams rose again, their resilience and toughness exceeding expectations. "I'll hold them off. You get the door open," Yajin yelled, parrying the relentless plasma fire. "Understood." Yun responded, plunging his lightsaber into the door's seam. The intense heat instantly melted through the metal, and he began to cut a path for their escape. "They're feigning death to trap us. This strategy is too cunning for mere robots. Someone must be orchestrating this. We need to find and stop them," Yajin concluded, focusing all his efforts on deflecting the plasma onslaught. Note, this chapter includes an Easter egg titled Ordinary Geth Soldiers. Vol 2, Chapter 480, Darkness. Now behind them, there was a loud thud, and Yun shouted, "The door is open, Master." Yakin turned to see that Yun had managed to burn through the metal hatch with a lightsaber. They both resisted the onslaught of robot soldiers and made a strategic retreat. The robots, evidently caught off guard by their ability to slice through the heavy metal doors, were sparse in number along their escape route, with most being worker robots clumsily wielding various tools as weapons. Yun and Yakin fought valiantly, dispatching dozens of these worker robots as they made their way to the hangar platform. However, their progress was halted by a closed gate, behind which a violent explosion suddenly erupted. "Our spaceship," Yun realized immediately that something was amiss. "This way, hurry," Yakin directed, pointing towards an alternative route. Robot soldiers were already beginning to converge on their location. The plasma rifles wielded by the robots were formidable, with their only drawback being the slow speed of the projectiles, which posed little challenge for the Jedi to deflect. However, the robots demonstrated a remarkable adaptability. After the initial wave was neutralized by Yakin and Yun, the subsequent attackers were armed with a different weapon, an assault rifle that fired in a rapid 3-shot burst, with bullets surrounded by a faint hyperspace reaction, making them exceedingly fast. A barrage of bullets rained down on them. Yakin, with a swift raise of his hand, conjured a powerful force field in front of them, halting the bullets midair. With another gesture, he sent the bullets flying back towards their assailants. However, the returned fire seemed to have no effect on the robots, as the peculiar hyperspace reaction vanished upon rebound. "That was incredible, Master. You're amazing!" Layun exclaimed. Then, using the force, he lifted cargo boxes and various pieces of machinery, hurling them towards the robots. The debris served as a makeshift barricade. "We can't keep this up. Their projectile rifles are unlike anything we've encountered before," Yakin admitted, catching his breath. "I suspect their technology might be based on hyperspace jumping principles, a scientific direction completely divergent from the Galactic Republic's weapon development. They could be from another galaxy." Layun, always keen on technological advancements, nodded in agreement. "Regardless of their origin, we must alert the Jedi Order and the Republic. These robots are a formidable threat. Through the Force, I've sensed the location of the control center. That's our next destination," Yakin declared, despite the exhaustion from overusing the Force. "Head to the control center? Isn't that walking into the lion's den?" Layun questioned, surprised. "We have no other options. Our only chance is to infiltrate the control center, either to destroy their mainframe or confront whoever is orchestrating this. Most importantly, we need to send a warning. It's a perilous mission, and surrender is not an option with these robots." Yakin explained solemnly. "Layun, we might not survive this. Does that scare you?" "I would never fear death if it means protecting the galaxy," Layun responded with unwavering conviction. "Whoever is behind these robots poses a significant threat to the galaxy, possibly even a secret weapon of the Separatists. If we, as Jedi, do not stand up now, then who will?" "Exactly what I expected from my apprentice, a true Jedi Knight," Yakin exclaimed proudly. "It's unfortunate that our investigation into a delicatus ends here, without a final meeting." "Perhaps it's for the best," Layun replied, managing a wry smile. Yakin placed a reassuring hand on Layun's shoulder. "Let's go to the control center. May the Force be with you." "May the Force be with us," Layun affirmed, his eyes burning with determination. Together, they ventured towards the control center, risking their lives. Utilizing their keen sense of the Force, they navigated through the maze of corridors, avoiding large contingents of robot soldiers, determined to fulfill their mission. Emerging from the maintenance channel, their objective remained unchanged. After dismantling another team of 7 or 8 robots, they finally made their way into the control center through a narrow passage. "Master, guard the entrance." "I'll handle this," Layun commanded, taking charge without hesitation. Yakin, unfazed by the role reversal, acknowledged Layun's expertise in the matter. He activated his lightsaber, positioning himself at the door, and using the Force, he lifted the surrounding debris, barricading the intersection. "I've found it! The hyperspace communicator. It's the same model used by the Republic, which means they're not extragalactic. How foolish of me!" Layun cursed suddenly. The lights dimmed to darkness, and the hum of machinery ceased. "The robots have cut the power again. How can they be so cunning?" Layun exclaimed in frustration, striking the console in anger. "I can't shake the feeling that the danger is receding," Yakin mused, his brow furrowed. "The robots have ceased their pursuit. Why? Have they suddenly developed a conscience?" Layun quipped sarcastically. "Regardless, we should take this opportunity to rest," Yakin suggested, settling down to meditate and replenish his strength. Despite his efforts, Layun struggled to locate the backup power supply within the console. Suddenly, a portion of the system sprang to life, excluding the communication system. "They've reactivated the navigation system. What's going on?" Layun pondered aloud, eyeing the photon screen that flickered to life before him. The screen displayed a surveillance feed of the surrounding space, where a burst of white light was followed by the emergence of a red spaceship from hyperspace. Yakin, roused from his meditation by the disturbance, approached the porthole. Although the ship was too distant to discern details, he sensed its presence. "The dark side," he muttered, a sense of foreboding in his voice. "It seems we've stumbled upon the hidden machinations of the dark side," Layun observed gravely. The red vessel was none other than the Sith infiltrator, the Red Comet. However, the pilot was not Darth Marthael as one might expect, but a Twi'lek woman named Edra Kadis. A decade had passed, and the once youthful Twi'lek had matured, her beauty tinged with a hint of seductiveness. Yet, her eyes were vacant, betraying no sign of the vibrant spirit that once resided within, as she navigated the spaceship with mechanical precision. Vol 2, Chapter 481, The Master's Mission. The communication system of the spaceship activated on its own, projecting the image of Darth Marthael, cloaked in black. He spoke with a deliberate slowness. "I've been informed by Geth that a Jedi Knight has infiltrated the Sojourn Galaxy. It seems the incompetence of Ceres X Corporation has led to this oversight. Rectify this error and eliminate the two Jedi. We cannot allow them to report back to the Republic about Geth's activities." "Understood, Master," Idra Caddis responded, her voice devoid of emotion. Piloting the Sith infiltrator, she followed the space station's guidance into the hangar platform. There, the charred remains of two Delta-7 fighter jets lay smoldering, their thick smoke filling the air. The acrid scent of burnt metal assaulted Adela's senses, igniting a change within her. Her expression twisted into one of bloodlust and madness as she muttered, "Kill. Kill them. Kill them all." Meanwhile, in the Endor system, within a concealed chamber aboard the Mothership Glory, Darth Marthael stood before a vast photon screen displaying surveillance footage from the Geth space station in the Sojourn system. The footage showed two Jedi Knights deeply focused within the control center, while Idra Caddis disembarked from the Sith infiltrator, making her way towards them. "This creation of yours is nearing its final phase," Darth Tenebrous' eerie voice echoed from the shadows. His physical form, long since devoid of life, was submerged in a bacta jar, serving now only as a vessel for his soul. Utilizing the Force, he manipulated a device to communicate. "Her spirit is broken. Fear has engulfed her. Only through relentless killing does she find solace, yet she lacks the most crucial element, faith in the dark side," Darth Marthael remarked with a sinister smile. "Though this is your first attempt at training an apprentice, you've excelled," Darth Tenebrous praised. "But don't be fooled into thinking you've fully grasped Adela's heart. Despite your teachings from both Darth Plagueis and myself, your understanding of the dark side remains superficial." Darth Marthael turned to regard Tenebrous' preserved form. "My journey doesn't end here." Over the past decade, as the Fourth Civilization advanced, he had dedicated more time to exploring the forbidden secrets of the dark side under Darth Tenebrous' tutelage. His mastery had evolved beyond mere slaughter, which had been the focus of his training under Darth Plagueis. For someone teetering between light and darkness, like Adela Caddis, killing served as a seduction into corruption. However, for one who had embraced the shadows, killing was merely a means to an end. Darth Marthael's quest had led him to seek out ancient Sith ruins and places within the galaxy where the dark side's energy was potent, striving for a deeper communion with the dark forces. This pursuit of knowledge and understanding was the true path of a Sith Lord, not just wielding the dark side's power as a weapon, a mistake made by the likes of Darth Maul. At the heart of the galaxy's dark side lay Caliban, a planet that served as the final resting place for many Sith emperors and a location forbidden to the Jedi Order. Darth Marthael had approached it with caution, aware of the risks of detection by the Jedi and uncertain of the consequences his presence might have on the spirits resting there. Now, his focus was on cultivating a worthy Sith apprentice, not merely a dark Jedi who had succumbed to the dark side. The unexpected arrival of the two Jedi Knights presented an opportunity he was unwilling to squander. He had already intervened to prevent the Geth from engaging them directly, choosing instead to use this moment to test his apprentice's resolve and further her descent into darkness. In a sinister turn of events, the two Jedi found themselves ensnared in the control center, becoming unwitting pawns in a dark scheme to lure Adra into the shadows. This scenario also served as an opportunity for the Geth to amass valuable data on the Jedi. Should Adra perish in the process, Darth Marthael would not bother with her resurrection, deeming her a failure unworthy of a second chance. As Adra Caddis navigated through the space station, she was met with the sight of countless Geth. These mechanical beings lined the corridors, their sensor lights flickering with what seemed like curiosity towards her. The sheer number of Geth present hinted at the overwhelming force they could unleash. Yet, Adra's focus remained undeterred, drawn instead to the vile presence emanating from the control center. a presence reeking of the light side. Adra's mind was plagued with bitter memories. Where was the light when she faced her darkest moments? Despite her steadfast belief in the light, she was continually engulfed by darkness. She began to question the dichotomy of light and darkness, the latter not as the Jedi Masters portrayed. The darkness presented by her new master had clarity and order. It was a means to an end, not an end in itself. Despite her initial resistance, Edra found herself drawn to the darkness, eventually accepting her new master's teachings. The metal doors to the control center burst open, unleashing a dark force that cleared the path of debris. Behind the chaos stood two figures with contrasting expressions, a solemn Mon Calamari and a surprised young human. "Fallen Jedi, you are finally here. Edra, it's really you. You're alive." Their words overlapped, each carrying a different sentiment. Edra faced them with a chaotic gaze, her lips curling into a malevolent smile. "Jedi Knight? Edra, do you recognize me? It's me, Lion. We joined the Jedi Order together as children." "Of course I remember you, Lion. I've always looked up to you," Adra replied, igniting her blood-red lightsaber with a hiss. Lion trembled at the sound, her voice still as melodious as Adra remembered, yet now tinged with a mature allure. "She's beyond redemption, Lion. Draw your weapon. She's our enemy now," Yakin exclaimed. "You remember me. There's still hope for you. Come back with us. Master Yoda will know how to save you," Lion pleaded. However, Adra's smile only twisted further. "I remember you, but I will also kill you, because this is my master's command."